But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken. We just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Survive the Spin, Effie Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Measured Flat, Tiers Morgan, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, JMels24, Unamento, Iron26, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnells, Banter, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Links, as I say, to Patreon are below this video. And with that, I'll hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
We had that big thing about Christianity. However, it was voiced on you that how I could just bring it around to Christianity without, I forgot how you phrased it. But anyway, I've been listening back to the shows. Boy, I sure as heck did, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'm like every time I listen, like, holy shit, I did it again. And there was another show you played. I was like, well, I didn't do it this time. Surf Daddy did, but I joined right in. It'd be hard to separate it, though. But I understand what you're talking about now. You don't realize it, but you do.
Yeah. You represent that section of where we compare flat earthing and the roads that lead you here to conspiratardia. There's an aspect of Christianity that also needs association with flat earth, because then you can make it into a religious belief. That's where you come in. You represent that type of person when you do that. The person that says there's proof of flat earth because the Bible says so. So you need a certain level of Christianity or a certain level of Christians in the subject talking about it as Christians who will default to talking about Christianity, because that obviously instantly turns off non-Christians. Come to the subject and you're like, oh, Earth's flat, really? What have you got to say about it? Jesus this, Jesus that, and you're like, people just switch off. No different to talking about chemtrails or 9/11. Person who's not interested in that, it's just a massive turn-off. All been orchestrated to take you away from the obvious fact that we measure Earth flat by making it into as many different things as you could possibly make it into. Make flat Earth into people. Make flat Earth into groups. Make flat Earth into a religion. Make flat Earth into non-science. Yeah? More things you can make it that it isn't, the less likely you'll encroach on what it is. Geography and mathematics, Earth measurements. Well away from those things, because those things need to be used to claim a globe. You need to keep flat Earth very much away from those things. Peppered throughout the book, what you've got is descriptions of how Earth is measured flat. So we're on to chapter 3 of editing, and throughout what's being written or rewritten, it's having the preface of a requirement for Earth being flat. Now, as I read through it again today, what we've done so far, and there are certain sections that don't have that, but you can't necessarily pepper it 100% of the time. So there's an equal divide between, let's call it gossip. That's anecdotal stories of people in the arena, like the story of Antarctica. That event where I'm called up by McToon is detailed in a way that makes it interesting because the characters are interesting. But there's a summary about how Earth is being measured flat. But when I'm detailing in a prior chapter about how we came to fight against the ball, I can't interweave how it's measured flat when describing past tense, how we came into the arena and how we debated it for the longest time. There are certain sections where I can point out as a conclusion that we didn't need to do any of those things, but while I'm explaining them, or explaining heliocentrism in general, I can't 100% of the time preface that Earth's measured flat throughout that. So, again, upon a reread, when we go through it again, after doing the bulk of the work on each of the chapters, when we're reading through it as a complete book and making minor adjustments, I'll reassess whether or not I do want to fundamentally change. I think it's chapter 2, called Living in Narnia. Or not, I want to rephrase a lot of the chapter. Kind of in two minds at the moment, having read it just today. As in, will it distract from how eloquently it's currently described with your person on a ball, believing that they live on a ball? If I suddenly pepper that with that's based on flat Earth measurements throughout the whole chapter, it might dilute it to the point where it becomes a little bit more difficult to read and a little bit less engaging. Kind of balance those two things. But it'll be a third globe, that's to say details of what the globe is and how it doesn't function. A third describing how flat Earth is and how we measure it, Earth that is. And a third anecdotal descriptions of characters and individuals that have crossed my path through the 10 or 11 years I've been doing this. Kind of split equally between what will keep a housewife engaged, what will keep an anti-flat earther engaged, and what will keep an anti-glober engaged. There's a percentage of people who'll be happy regardless of what I put out, that just like me and want to read my book. You know what I mean? They don't, as long as it's written by me and is a reasonably accurate account of the last 10 years, they'll be happy with it, regardless of how it's spun towards disproving a globe rather than proving a flat Earth, or the other way around, proving Earth's measured flat over and above disproving a globe, or just geared towards, you know, relationships with Patricia Steers and your Mark Sargents and your interactions with people like McToon and Dave McKeegan. Got a new name.
Yeah, I tried to worm out what's his name, McToon, but Buck wasn't biting.
We've given him a name. I needed a fake name for him. Right, that's why I was asking. So I wanted to base his fake name on his real name. I just what it is.
I know his first name is Michael, but I forgot his last name.
Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Anyway, we've had to come up with some new fake names. I thought we'd got all the full list of people who had been talked about. And instead I've got some fake names for people who haven't. So like, to my knowledge, we haven't got any stories about Russian vids. But I've given him a fake name, so he already exists in the list. No actual stories about him. So it hasn't needed to be ascribed. But then you'll come across someone else, Bob Nodell, and go, well, this guy needs to be ascribed a new fake name. Make one up on the spot while you're editing it. They've done all that now. Everyone who needs a fake name has been ascribed one. So far. I mean, I'm sure there'll be more that crop up as we go through the process of editing it. Wife and I, that is.
So we're getting closer.
Yeah, so far we've done 6 chapters, but they're not labelled as 1 through 6. So there's the housekeeping question chapters that are labelled 1 through 12, and then there's in-between chapters that are like the anecdotes. What have you given those as numbers? Is it 1.5?
Yeah.
So my wife's just called those like 1.5, 2.5. Do you know what I mean? It's like chapter 2, Living in Narnia. Chapter 2.5, Julian and...
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. So the anecdotal chapters tend to be a little bit shorter. But I don't know. I prefer the anecdotal chapters because they're about me. You know what I mean? As opposed to the boring globe and how it don't work. They're about me. So I'm obviously going to find the anecdotal chapters more interesting. But they're shorter, they're more concise. Because I can be more concise about my personal experience rather than heliocentric mathematics and the deception, which is complex and needs more expansive text to be around the description of what's being divulged in any given chapter. So for that reason, the housekeeping chapters or the Living in Narnia chapter, to a lesser extent the first chapter, which is Who is Nathan Oakley, are a little bit longer. Really awful now I've actually started doing the show. I'm still really ill. Oh well.
You'll get through it.
Hopefully. I should have probably taken another day off today, but I'm too poor.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about finances. It's very depressing.
Somebody actually did send me a few bucks on PayPal yesterday, and I'm just too ill to respond to them. So I do need to do that today. Say thank you to the person that sent me money. Which I will do. Also, Rich from 007 channel, his mic that I sent him has reached customs. Should really put that word out if somebody needs a mic again before I run out. Like, I'll be more than willing to take stuff off eBay if somebody got in touch and said I do need a mic. So I should really put that out on today's live show, shouldn't I? That said, I'd have kind of expected over the 12 months of me talking about vlogging mics that somebody would have got in touch and asked if they wanted one. But yeah, 007, I've sent him out a copy of an SM7B.
James Bond?
Channel's called Double, the word, OH, and then number 7. It's Rich's channel. It's when the guy I went on, the guy kept interrupting me about his melting bricks.
I'm drawing a blank.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, I had an SM7B copy that I went out of my way to purchase. I've been trying to buy a fake SM7B for a while. show the difference between a real one and a fake one, right? So obviously to show those differences, you need a fake one. So I went out of my way to buy it, and once I got it, I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I can't sell it, or I probably could sell it. I just didn't want to. I don't want to sell fake microphones. So I'm like, well, I'll just give it away. And I've got a couple of these SM7Bs. I wasn't going to send Rich, no offence to him, a mic that's worth 400 quid. You know what I mean? I'm not that generous.
I don't blame you.
Well, the copy's still pretty good. It's better than what he's got.
I think that's a Glober.
Bev's a Glober.
Yeah, you think him and Etta Bear, I think they're Globers, man. Heard something yesterday. He's fighting for a Globe now, I believe.
Good for him.
Which makes no sense to me because he was the one with the whole freaking geometry and stuff and using levels, and I don't get it, man. See, we don't know who was surrounded by, you know that, right? I know you know that. And then out of nowhere, they just reveal themselves.
Yeah. What you're saying is a shill? Maybe. Or it's just a pathetic cuck who wants to cuck to the consensus view because that's how the rest of the world sees it, and maybe he just wants to fit in. Some people don't have the wherewithals and the confidence to stand out from the crowd. They want to blend in. Everybody else believes we're on a ball, so I want to blend in with everybody else. I just want to seem normal. Okay. Yeah, you don't want to be stuck out as a weirdo, because for certain people, sticking out means they get labelled weirdos. Not everybody can stand out and be a shining diamond in the rough, like me. Brilliant and shining and sparkling. Some people, when they stick out like a turd. Well, that's Bev. When Bev sticks out, he's not shining like a diamond. He's stinking like a turd. So him saying, well, we measure it flat, would just get him looked at with a wrinkled up face, wouldn't it? Look at him, he looks like Wurzel Gummidge. So he's not ever going to get accepted as being exceptional for being different. He'll be mocked and ridiculed. So the alternative is to want to blend in. Want to cuck to the societal views that everyone else holds. And that's precisely what he's doing. Now, that could be because he's some paid infiltrator, some shill. Nah. I would say it's more likely that he's just wanting to fit in. You know what I mean? You know that type. You went to school with that type of kid, and that type of kid got bullied, didn't they? Like, egregiously bullied.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Bev doesn't want that anymore. He doesn't want people bullying him, right? Online, he can have his little moment looking like he knows what he's talking about within a little arena, and then cucking to the consensus viewpoint.
Yeah, I measured to not be flat. Okay, Bev.
Measure it not flat with a horizontal reference. It's just idiotic. But that's fine. Like I say, people, I can't remember, someone phrased this recently. You are entitled to retain any belief that you feel the need to defend. I thought that's really profound. Yeah, it was a woman who said it. I'm like, yeah, she's right. I can't change your belief structure, and any belief that you hold that you're willing to defend, you will retain that belief, regardless of what I say. The fact that you're in a position at all to defend it means that there's a whole load of neurological processes that can take place after the fact, regardless of how wrong you're demonstrated. Cognitive dissonance is just one of them. So the statement, you will retain 100% of the beliefs that you're willing to defend, holds true. It's a very profound statement. And we have to accept that. So if you want to
hold
believe...
on. If you come in with 100% proof, let's take football, for instance, in sports. I watch sports. I like to watch football. If there's outright proof that these games are rigged, I'm going to be looking at it with a different set of eyeballs. I'm not going to keep defending it if I'm handed outright proof that, look, it's all scripted, just like the WWE. You got to be foolish to keep fighting for it just because you want to believe a thing that you want to believe. I don't know.
Well, you've seen people defend WWF or WWE as it's now known, right?
That's true.
Right, exactly. So you know it can happen. And it doesn't matter if you show them the script that they worked from. It doesn't matter if you show them rehearsing the very same moves that they performed live for the audience and for the TV cameras. It won't matter to them if they truly believe that it isn't scripted, contrived. Then they'll defend that belief, won't they? And
what they'll say is they still got to do all those moves. It's still guys 300, 400 pounds lifting each other up and throwing each other around the ring. Yeah, but it's scripted.
Right. So they'll find a way to justify it, is your point. And you're right. That's true regardless of the belief that you're trying to detail. So for a heliocentric belief, anybody who comes here, the reason we have limited success with those individuals is because they're not here to challenge their understanding. They're here to affirm their bias.
That's correct. That is 100% true.
Right. So if somebody's here to affirm their bias, what difference does it make if I'm correct? Well, it doesn't. It doesn't matter if I'm correct. That diagram that you've got on screen now is their basis for their radial derivation. Alexandria and Cyan with a well. Right? That's their justification. It's a flat Earth elevation angle though, isn't it? That's what it is. Now, if you show that to them and go, this is a flat Earth measurement, they go, yeah, to produce a globe.
They rehearsed it. They work out really hard. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, there you go. So it doesn't matter that we're correct in many instances. That's what I said on the last show that we went live with. Don't look at this process as trying to convert the world to understanding how it is actually dealt with and measured, because that's inconsequential of anybody's belief. It will always be dealt with flat, regardless of anybody else's belief, regardless of whether or not you want to believe the contrary, regardless of if the whole world's indoctrinated to believe we're on a sphere, the world will still be measured flat. So what is the point of the process? Well, for inner peace, you can find your own enlightenment and then move on with your own contentment, knowing that you realise how flat it is, that you have been deceived previously, that what you thought to be true isn't. Well, that's what you get to achieve, and that is all you get to achieve. The flat earth evangelists out there, in my mind, don't truly know it balls to bones and need next man to affirm that they are correct. So if you can convert more people to your belief is stronger because you've managed to convert people. Look, my faith in X is true because I managed to convince all these people. And it's the same is true, the contrapositive of our opponents. Look how many people we converted back to the globe. They seem to use that standard frequently. Look at Jaron. Look, he's come back to the globe. Okay, does that mean it's a globe? Well, to them, yeah. Because one dude has converted back from flat earth belief to globe earth belief, that is one more tick in the box of, well, it must be a globe then. Like, you realise this standard is completely unrelated to the surface and how it's measured. Completely unrelated. But for them, it's just one more tick in a box that brings them towards consensus. They want complete consensus to feel better. Now, the reality is, even if they achieved it, if every single one of us turned around and said, yeah, it's a globe, you're right, they wouldn't feel any better. In the back of their mind, they'd still know all of the things that we've disseminated to them over the years. Wouldn't they? They're going to get away from the flat earth measurements when they come across them.
Yeah, that'll be burning in the back of their mind. That was just brought up the other day, as a matter of fact. Somebody said Jaron, what's his name? Robbie Davidson. He started naming all the people that went back. Like, okay, so now you feel better? You feel like it's really a globe now because these few people went back when they made a supposed observation. Who knows where they were? But yeah, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
But for them, it does.
Yeah. Well, would if you were a Scientologist? You turn around and go, look at all these Scientologists that came back. Now, in reality, Scientologists excommunicate anybody who turns their back on them. They're very hostile to people who leave. But for the sake of argument, you know, if it was the case that you could just wander on back, they started saying, look at all these people who came back. You're like, does that make Xenu real? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you can never get away from the fact that it's measured flat. So that's always going to be haunting them in the back of their mind.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Now, the more we appreciate that fact, the less we concern ourselves with other people's belief in this regard. It's like, oh, I don't care if you believe that. Believe whatever you like. But for the people who do believe, that will be a dagger in their mind. It'll be very painful because every so often they wake up in the night in a cold sweat and go, oh my God, it's measured flat. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's measured flat because it's a ball.
What's up, Len?
Just woke up, just sorting a coffee and myself out. Glad to say there's a live show to do.
I sent you a confirmation of your address, so that shock mount didn't reach Len that I sent him about a month ago. And on the tracking, it says, it's reached your assigned parcel shop. So I said to Len, that shock mount's at the parcel shop that you wanted it sent to. He's like, I didn't want it sent to a parcel shop. I wanted it sent to my home address. So I went and dug out the invoice and checked the address on it. And I've just resent that to you, Len, your own address. I just want you to confirm it. And then I've got a generic shock mount that I can send you. It's not the same as an original one, which the one I sent you and just got lost was, but it will still function. It's the right size.
No worries, and thank you. I'll check in a few minutes.
Yeah, just let me know if that's the correct address in Master B. Not Master B. What's it called now? Teams. If you just say yes, then I've already boxed it up. It's ready to go. I'll just print out a new label. I'll still use the same service because it's cheap, even though they've lost one. Hopefully lightning won't strike twice. That is to say they won't lose it a second time.
Well, I just recently lost a guitar pedal that I bought off Vinted, and the courier, as their proof of posting, their picture clearly showed some trainers in a tight package. So they were trying to prove that they delivered me guitar pedal. But the worst thing is, it was someone else's package. It had someone else's address on it. But they tried to blame it on Vinted. So I ended up just keeping these shoes that are no good.
How annoying. Is that every?
Well, I can't remember. This one wasn't every. It was another one that I've never heard of. But there's a lot of crap out there.
Yeah, they seem to be a lot more reliable when you do it via eBay. I think eBay, I've got an arrangement with them where they will get the money back for the item via the insurance that they offer. And they've got like a standard practice where they just automatically get the money back off every. So every are far more inclined to do an eBay simple delivery correctly. Whereas if you just do it via your own account, they're much more likely to get lost. So I've had far less parcels go missing through Every when using eBay Simple Delivery, using Every via eBay, rather than just going direct through Every themselves. So your parcel was that, obviously you hadn't bought the item off eBay, so I wasn't using eBay Simple Delivery, it just went through Every and paid the amount and off it went. And then it gets lost. You're like, how wonderful. But that used to happen all the time. Very, very irritating. Anyway, hopefully you'll confirm your address and I'll just send you out that generic shock mount and it will do the job. It's not quite as nice as an original, which is annoying because I had one. Hey ho.
Thanks. Did you see that little AI video I put together there, Nathan?
Which one?
Of McToon having nightmares.
Oh, the one you shared me from this anti-flurf troll channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 'cause I remember the conversation where you were like, oh, you don't really want to see that kind of thing.
I don't wish ill will on anybody.
Well, you're hanging around with too many Christians because the way these have treated you, you should be lobbing rocks all you can.
Yeah, maybe.
The earth is measured flat! Earth is flat. That's a statement of fact. I don't care what you think about that, cause it was measured that way. Oh, Earth is flat. That's a statement of fact. I don't care what you think about that, cause it was measured that way. Earth is flat.
Very good.
It was very dark.
Well, the darkest bit for me was it's obviously a nightmare that he's having, yeah. But like when you were a kid, you'd have a nightmare, or I did, that you turn up in your pajamas somewhere or something. You know what I mean? Well, in that video, you've got him in a cheerleader's outfit with everyone laughing at him. And as soon as I saw it, it took me back to that 8-year-old kid having nightmares about turning up at Scouts in my pajamas. You know what I mean? So you're like, it is very nightmare-esque in terms of how vivid you can picture something occurring. And for Toon, it's being in a cheerleader's skirt. But, you get the idea from what the video's portraying. I thought it was quite clever.
After I shared that, I was thinking, there's a lot more I could do with it. Like, take a little snippet from his live stream where he just wasn't picking up Sodbuster saying that, this is where Sodbuster was winding you up, saying, so you agree that theodolites measure curvature. And my idea is to get McToon saying, no, they measure angles. Then that being the start of his realisation.
Yeah, these people know. They know what the score is. Like we were just discussing, Neil and I, about how, in spite of realising the awful truth, they will still defend their own bias. They're here to defend their bias, and anything that contrasts their bias is just seated in a place in their mind that they can cope with the cognitive dissonance that incongruent fact leads them to have. They'll just place it in that part of their brain, and that's where it will remain. I mean, obviously people are complex beings, and how we cope with things like this is beyond most psychology. How do you cope with cognitive dissonance? You can't literally or logically square the circle. So how does a brain cope with that? Now, in my mind, it's like I've been cognitively dissonant before, and it doesn't necessarily get coped with. It eventually leads to your mind fracturing. Like, it sends you nuts. That's what I think we'll start seeing more and more of. Like, we will literally see people breaking down mentally on our opposing side. It will become too much. The more relaxed we become about this fact of flat Earth measurement and the fact that all measurements are flat, including but not limited to the ones that are alleged to create a ball, those are flat too. So for anybody who appreciates what we are saying when they come and listen to us, albeit in a very limited capacity currently, the amount of censorship is off the hook, but there are still people who come across our channel who are on our opposing side who'll listen to what we say on a daily basis and discard it out of hand initially, but when they come to start arguing the toss for how a flat Earth angle measurement in Antarctica proves we're on a ball, they know that the words that they're using require a flat Earth to measure, make their claim. Now, you can't get away from it. It's unavoidable. Like I say, that can only be suppressed for a certain amount of time before it will cause mental instability, true pain, and mental fracturing that, if left unchecked, will drive people to the loony bin.
Yeah, if you stay in the measurements. But what I've noticed, they welcome all the globe debunkings. You could have a ton of people debunking the globe, and they're happy with that.
Yep.
But when you come to the measurements, oh, no. That's going to drive them insane.
Yeah. I've noticed that with a YouTuber called FT something or other. And all he does is put out videos about how Earth's not a sphere, the old school flat Earth rhetoric. And he gets published to me plenty. Like, I get to doom scroll my way through and find this guy's flat Earth videos. And he'll like show a high altitude. This was the one I saw yesterday. High altitude imagery, and he says, "Does this look like this Earth curve?" Like, our opponents love that, don't they?
Absolutely, they welcome that. They will allow you to debunk a globe with them all day long.
Yeah, of course, because you say it isn't, I say it is. The fact that we can have this argument means that, well, maybe I'm right about it being a globe. The minute you say you require a flat Earth measurement to create this globe, then they get very angry with you.
I think a big part of the problem for a lot of them is the tertiary Google searches. And like, if someone was looking into a theodolite and they searched, what does a theodolite measure? It would say it's a precision optical instrument used to measure horizontal and vertical angles. But if you search, does a theodolite measure curvature? It'll say, yes, a theodolite measures Earth's curvature indirectly by measuring horizontal and vertical angles. But
that's a contradiction.
It's just being Weasley.
It's just affirming people's bias. It's an attempt to square a circle with a contradiction. Does this angle tool measure curve? Well, no, it's a measuring angle tool. Well, yes, it does, says AI. Why? Well, because Earth's a ball. You're like, yeah, that's what they need. Normies need their religion affirming. And because there's so many people and so many sources laying down their affirmation of a sphere, they can, that's AI, lean into the consensus view that a derivative curve calculation is, by way of a lie, the same as, quote, measuring curvature with a tool that measures angles. Now, it isn't. You and I know that. But for your surface dweller, that's enough. Just enough to get them by for that day.
From that little search about theodolites, McToon's website showed high on their results while it was just below the AI thing. And he's got a little blurb on theodolites. One thing that just made me laugh was it says, theodolites are the bane of flat earthers, as the measurements from theodolites directly measure the curvature of the earth, totally discrediting the idea of a flat earth. Flat earthers do not care about discovering truth, but instead only care to support their bias, so they must not allow measurements from theodolites. There are two common attempts to discredit and dismiss measurements from theodolites. They are not certified to be used over a specified distance, and optical I can't say that bloody word.
That's projection.
Yeah, it's
projection.
Hilarious though.
Yeah, pure projection.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you've got to lie. That's the problem, isn't it? You've got to lie to believe you're on a globe.
Yep. You heard it all right there. It's everything you said is totally opposite. It's they can't handle measurements. When measurements get put to them, they don't want to face the facts. What are you going to do?
But it's always revealing what people project onto others. So in this case, I would suggest that in order to project this onto us, like we deny measurements of angles that require a flat surface to produce the angle. No, we don't. But maybe there's people out there who don't know what a theodolite is or how it works, that don't want to talk about it because of their ignorance. Well, you can lean into that. But why would you need to? Well, if you recognise what it does. If you understand what a theodolite does, you understand how devastating it is because it can only be utilised with a flat earth. Therefore, saying, well, flat earthers have to deny this tool, like, well, no, in reality, you'd have to deny this tool because it's simply measuring Earth flat. You derive a calculation for sphericity from that flat Earth measurement. The starting point is the flat Earth measurement of an angle. So that's the reality. But because that's a fact, you need to undo that fact. You need to overcome that fact. You need to contrast that fact with a lie. And say, flat earthers can't cope with this flat Earth measuring tool? What are you babbling about? But again, for a surface dweller who comes across McToon's site, what's he doing? He's affirming his own bias that he's on a ball. He can't cope with the reality of the flat Earth measurement. So he has to undo that in case anybody else sees it. Can't let anybody else see how flat Earth we're measuring things with these tools. So I'll tell them that we're not. We're actually measuring curve with them.
All good now anyway, Nathan? You sound a little stuffy. Did you have like a coldy flu thing?
Yeah, I've had flu for the last 4 days. I had it on Saturday. What is it now? Wednesday. Still a little bit ill.
So they're claiming because a really good theodolite is really approximately 5,000 feet that, can't be used to measure Earth. Really? There's no flat surfaces on a sphere. I don't care if it was 3 feet. That's what they're crying about. Only for short distances.
I mean, while I appreciate them bringing this to us, I don't care. It's like, I understand the psychology behind needing to get ahead of this problem, which is all this is, getting ahead of a problem. So I don't care. It doesn't matter that Toon's telling people that a theodolite is a proof of a curve. Like, it's used to measure the surface level for angles. Now, that is what it does when put into practical application. Who cares what he says? It doesn't matter. Yeah, it only has importance if we give it importance. For those who want to affirm their bias via Toon's information on his website, good for them. They're entitled to their beliefs. They want to believe that an angle measuring device is actually proof of a curve, so be it. Good for them.
Yeah, that's like the wrestling analogy I gave. Yeah, well, they still got to work out and practice all the moves. They're still really doing the scripted moves.
Why give him anything, Nathan? Why?
There you go.
Hello, by the way.
What was your question again?
Sorry, my microphone is useless, isn't it?
That's right. What was your question again, Zark? Why what?
Oh, sorry. I'm actually working. I'm currying around town. Sorry. I was just saying, why give them anything? You know, it's like you give them an inch, they'll take them a curvy mile. You know, they can. As far as in public, I feel that they shouldn't get any concessions at all. But like you say, if they want to believe that they're on a sphere in private, for me that's fine. But if they bring it into the public, they have to be challenged.
Why?
But anyway, that's mine.
Why do you feel that they have to be challenged? I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate that I've been doing that for the last 10 years, but my attitude's changed of recent times.
Yes, I've noticed. He's becoming very calm. Why? Well, I think there's certain standards that should be upheld in society for things to progress. And I think without those standards, everything starts falling apart. Hang on, I've got delivery.
I think your latter statement's true. A lie will fall apart inevitably. So, ushering it along because you have standards, maintain your own standards internally for your own benefit. But when it comes to your expression of the standards to someone else who comes across a site full of lies, there's only so much you can do. You know, there's always going to be liars, but lies inevitably fall under their own weight. A web eventually collapses. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a web of lies. Well, some people want to add an extra layer, in this case McToon, to that web of deceit. But you have to understand the motivation behind that. He's not doing it for the benefit of the people that are reading his website. He's doing it for his own self-serving nature. He needs to believe that he's correct. And the more he can achieve a consensus, the more correct he is? Well, no. Therefore, number one, it won't actually relieve any of his pain. No matter how many people come to his site and go, yes, you're right. This angle measuring tool measures curve. No, it doesn't. No matter how many people agree with him. But in some people's minds, they ascribe this consensus standard to truth. It's like, truth isn't based on consensus. But if you want to believe that it is to feel better about whatever you believe in, then that's up to you. You know, more power to you. But for us currently in this subject, nothing that we discuss with liars will change how Earth is actually measured. When it comes to utilising a theodolite to produce a measurement to derive sphericity from, how it measures Earth's surface level will still remain constant. It will still be an angle measuring device from surface level if you're going to derive any useful calculations to infer that you're on a ball. Now, if you understand that, then you understand that. Therefore, you appreciate what the tool's actually doing, in spite of somebody telling you with a little cognitive shortcut that no, it actually measures curve, or that flurfs can't cope with it. Like, again, ascribing this false standard, like it matters how many flurfs appreciate a theodolite's use in proving sphericity. It doesn't matter if every single flurf out there was literally crapping in their pants because they heard the word theodolite. That wouldn't change what a theodolite is or how it's utilised in practical application, would it? But again, this standard is being laid down and positioned in such a way on Toon's website, like it matters how flat earthers feel about what a theodolite does. We had it the other week with science. Like, what, if you debate science, that will mean anything? It's like, it's a method. Whether or not you can employ the method correctly will result in the empiricism that the method provides if you adhere to it correctly. Understanding the terminology or the definition or how to describe what the method is verbally with English doesn't change what the method does or what the method is for. It's a method. It's trying to achieve an outcome. So therefore, debating about its meaning, who cares? Doesn't matter. So at the end of the debate, the audience believes the person that says that science is about just so stories rather than improving the cause of effect. It's like, yeah, but when someone actually wants to prove the cause of an effect, they'll use the method properly. Or they won't. But then they won't achieve an empirical outcome. So again, the semantics of it are irrelevant. But if you can put it into a debate, suddenly the semantics of it are important. Well, only to the person that needs to hijack the terminology of science for their own ends, or in this case, hijack the use of a flat earth angle measuring device for their own ends, to reaffirm their own belief that's being challenged. Now, do I need to get ahead of this? No. Do I need to go out and point out how our opponents are lying about it? No. That's why I'm challenging you, Zark, in this manner, which is to say, why do we have to lay down this standard? You aren't the arbiter of the standards that other people hold, and other people will hold a standard that affirms their bias if they choose to do so, irrespective of you trying to intervene to change their way of seeing these things. They'll still hold that standard regardless of your attempted interjection. They're looking for confirmation bias if they're on Mattoon's website. Let them. Like, you want to believe that this does something that affirms your ball? Okay. I don't care. They don't need that. They need me to believe as they do. They need others to believe as they do. Well, that doesn't change the thing that you're discussing, though, does it? How many people believe in it is irrelevant to what it does. So for me, it's I don't care. So everybody's gone to McToon's website and now believes that theodolites measure curve. Okay? I don't care.
Well, their standard doesn't matter. It's your standard. What's your personal standard? If it's high, then what do you care what their standard is? They have a very low standard.
Yes, I do agree with that. I suppose most recently, one thing that I found concerning was my daughter coming home from school and being told that they've just had a science lesson telling them that the Earth is not flat. And my concern comes from where that influence comes from, because it's not McToon who's influencing school curriculum. It's somewhere else is influencing it. And that's where I was coming from.
Well, the schools are run by the churches, aren't they? She's probably in a Church of England school.
Yes. Oh,
Right.
another customer.
Well, that's where it originated, isn't it? The church. That's who came up with it.
Yes, so I have learned. Yes.
Right. So it's like saying, I don't want them to learn about Muhammad in this Muslim school. Right, well, don't put them in Muslim school then.
Well, there's a
Yeah.
reason why they have that in the science class, right, Nathan? You broke it down the other day, and it's 100% correct.
Why? So it's not in the geography class. You need to be able to retain the flat Earth measurements to suggest you're on a ball and do anything practical, like mapping, like surveying, charting. All of those things obviously need to function as is for people to not die. Well, if you need flat Earth, the concept that's made about people and individuals, in defiance of the belief you're taught by the church education system, you need to put it into a different subject. So you take it from geography and mathematics and you put it into science.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very confusing for the children now. We see it. My daughter and my son, they see that there's something wrong because they mentioned it to me. They knew that there was something which wasn't quite matching up, but they couldn't quite grasp it. And obviously, in front of my daughter and my son and my wife, I was what am I going to say? What am I going to say here? So I just sort of eased back and said, as you said, I said it's in the wrong lesson. I said it's not science. And it sort of helped them categorize things. But I didn't say anything more than that to them.
Yeah, it's in a category error intentionally. You need flat Earth measurements to be retained because they're real, and that's how we deal with Earth. But if you're being taught the religion of being on a ball, again, the whole thing shouldn't be in science. The thing should be in religious education. Heliocentrism is religious education. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a belief, of course.
Well, you have to have a faith in violating the measurements that you're taking, the measurements that you're taught in geography.
Right. I told a few guys in chat that I would ask the question pertaining to science. Now, because they were talking about, I didn't agree with your analogy of rust. Because so let me ask you a question. You could look at something over time, and that could be a phenomena.
Everything happens over time, Neil.
I understand that. So you're saying you can walk out and see a dock, right? And it's got iron, right? It's made out of iron, and then you notice it rusting over time. So you could put that through the scientific method.
Absolutely. Something happening, isn't it? Something occurring in nature. Something happening. To be an observed phenomena, first and foremost, it must be natural. It must be happening in nature. Secondly, you've got to actually observe it to happen. And thirdly, it must be something changing, occurring. So there's got to be an alteration, something actually happening. That's what a phenomenon is. Something occurring. Well, the rust appearing where it wasn't there prior is something occurring, isn't it? Something's happening. It's gone from not being rusty to being rusty. That's something happening in nature.
All right, so I thought it had to be something you stumble across. Like you walk and you see a leaf falling, you see it happening. So that was my misunderstanding of it. So it could happen over time.
Just because it's happening over time, a leaf falls over time. 1 second it's on the tree, second 2 it's detached from the leaf and is still in midair, second 3 it's halfway to the ground, second 4 it's on the ground. You're saying because you go out and you watch something that potentially could rust over the course of 5 days, that's not something occurring because it takes 5 days instead of 5 seconds. Well, no, it's still absolutely something occurring in nature, something happening in nature. Now, the fact that we already know the cause, we've labelled it. Oxidization. So we know what causes it, but that's not to say it's not a perfect example of something that you couldn't science. You could. You could vary and manipulate the presumed cause of the effect. In this case, the oxygen exposure.
So then what's the difference with gems if you put a freaking a camera on it? Oh, that's going to take a very long time.
Are you observing it happen or not? If you can observe it happening, and then it's an observed phenomena. It seems really simple. It's not a phenomena unless it's an observed phenomena. So you've got to see it happening. Right, I've only got 10 minutes. I'll be right back. Hopefully the conversation doesn't die because I am recording.
Yeah, because I was under the assumption that you have to, like, a hot spring. You're hiking, all of a sudden, boom, you see a hot spring, it's there. Then you wonder, holy shoot, how's that happening? I didn't know you could walk upon something, see it, and then a week later you come by and it's the color's changing. That's a phenomenon now. So I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, what you're describing is the examples being violent, if you will, like overt, obvious. Well, it doesn't mean that things that are far more subtle can't be phenomena. They can. Right, anyway, I'll be right back. Don't let the conversation die on its arse while I disappear for 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that they're just coping right now, and that's the only thing they have. Everything Toon puts out, it's just for his cope. Now the other guy said to Nathan, "Yeah, the guy from Uruguay, I know how you cope." That's actually projection. It's him coping with the fact that Earth is measured flat; he can't get around it. So everything he was bringing forth, this observation that hasn't happened yet of his friend in Florida and him in Uruguay seeing his son move in the opposite directions. That's for his cope.
Yeah, I agree. But isn't that no different than being north or south and observing star rotation? It just depends on which way you're facing.
Of course. But it's for their cope. If the sun, they say the sun's going in the opposite direction, left and right, whatever the hell that means. Over here it goes left to right, and over there it goes right to left. I'm from Uruguay. Nathan, I don't give a F. You're not going to bully me.
Left to right. It's just based on your orientation if you're facing north or south.
That's it.
Who's that, Vax? You're not going to bully me, Vax.
Yeah, if you face north, east is to the right. But if you face south, east is to the left. Or, yeah. So north, east is right, south, east is left. It's whatever. Like when someone says, not your right, my right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, up on deck.
Hey up, lad. You all right?
All good, yourself?
Yeah, good, mate, yeah. Just driving a little bit at the moment, but yeah, should be pulled up for the next 5 minutes. How is everybody?
Pretty good.
Now you guys cope with 2 days no show.
Oh, it's awful.
I start trolling people when there's no show.
I almost did that. I almost did that yesterday, and then I stopped myself. I said, "What am I doing? I don't give a crap anymore." Because certain people had a show yesterday, and in some of the comments they were talking about the book, and they were like, "Yeah, I started with QE. He's absolutely right about the book." And I almost went in there and said, "You freaking moron!" But I said, "You know what? It ain't even worth it."
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. They're all lunatics.
But yeah, the couple of days without a show made me come up with anti-flurf troll, and that's going to be the source of a lot of
A lot of trolling, I'll say.
Oh, so it's a video you've done?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hysterical. When I played that, I was laughing my ass off.
I don't think I've seen it. Was it Master B, is it? I might have missed it.
Yeah, it's in Master B, but
I'll play it on the
You
live
gotta
show.
see this one deck. It's really funny.
I'll have to have a look, mate. Yeah, will do.
I'll play it on the
Yeah,
live show.
Nathan,
You'll hear it in a minute.
Nathan, how are you? Are you all right, pal?
I'm still ill, but I'm poor.
Oh.
I've got to put some work in. I've had enough days
yeah,
off with flu.
Yeah, there's a lot of it going about at the moment, obviously, because we're in winter. But yeah, I know a few people have had it. I've had a bit of a stinky cold, but nothing too major. Just a bit of a sore throat, and it's just the usual crap. But yeah,
It's all mental. If you don't think about it, see, the problem is Nathan's kids are probably sick, and he started thinking about it too much. Therefore, he got it. If he didn't think about it at all, he would have never got it.
Well,
No, I don't think that's true. Everybody in my house is sick. I got a sinus headache all behind my. It's like behind my upper lip and up towards my forehead. But my girls, they got a stomach virus and they were throwing up all day yesterday. So
What do you mean? You
We're both
said it
sick,
to me the
but
other day. You said
we
that.
both have different
I was
things.
thinking back what you said to me.
Well, I think a lot of it can be psychosomatic. Like you can make yourself sick. It happens to people all the time. But if everybody else in your house is legitimately sick and then you get sick, that might not be psychosomatic. I don't know what it is.
it happened recently with a congresswoman who was doing a press conference, and a member of the crowd got up and with a syringe sprayed her with apple cider vinegar.
yeah, Elanoma.
Yeah, you got it. And there was a person that was stood next to her that also got sprayed, like got a bit of splash on her, and she started being physically very unwell, like sick. Now, it's not because suddenly the apple cider vinegar became poisonous. You know, it might be a bit smelly, but you know what I mean? It didn't suddenly make her actually sick. But the psychosomatic feeling of something in a syringe has been sprayed on me. What else could it contain? Could it be lethal? Am I going to be violently sick? And then you convince yourself that you are actually in more danger than you are. And that is a psychosomatic illness that not the congresswoman, somebody who was next to her, actually experienced. So she was violently sick, from what I read. Now, that to me is psychosomatic. Like the fear that syringe was full of something horrendous, which it very well could have been. Now, that's why it's a brilliant example, because you can totally relate to that woman going, holy crap, what's in it? You know what I mean? You don't know, so therefore you fear the worst. Therefore, you're literally making yourself sick, because what was actually sprayed on them was just apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, which is pretty good for you, I think.
Yeah, if you drink it. I wouldn't imagine it would
Yeah, but
smell
then you're-
very good.
Yeah, but your brain could start inventing all the stuff inside the syringe. Oh my God, what if it has anthrax in it or something?
Exactly. Precisely.
Yeah.
So the effect of having apple cider vinegar on her didn't make her sick, but the like reverse placebo, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
The stress or fear of the unknown.
Yeah. That's the type of sickness that people will start to experience without realizing why when they come across what we do currently as time progresses. Bearing in mind that we've only brought this Earth being measured flat to the very forefront in the last, 6 months? It's been under the surface for a couple of years, edging its way to the forefront. But with the way that we're putting it out currently, I'd say it's a relatively recent endeavour. Would everybody agree with that? I know we've been saying Earth's measured flat for a couple of years, but in terms of the way that we're dealing with it, in a way that will genuinely cause some psychosomatic distress, that is to say, the fear of the unknown, when you've got a steadfast understanding that Earth is a ball, and then there's a cognitive breaking point where you realise the awful truth but cannot mentally face it. You can't process it in a way that can be dealt with. You know, the extreme being the coping processes that our anti-flat earth brethren have done for the last 10 years. They are coping mechanisms. When we say things like share your pain, that's us pointing out that they've got coping mechanisms to try and get around what we've been, dealing with in that regard for 10 years. But none of it's been effective because they've always been able to come up with a, quote, coping mechanism. Well, what we're doing now, there is no coping mechanism. In fact, it plants a seed that cannot be gotten rid of. It can't be coped with. Because once you appreciate that your own belief is in requirement of flat earth measurements, like us covering Toon earlier, talking about him saying that a theodolite angle measuring device measures curve, that's not going to help him. It's not going to help him cope. No amount of consensus that comes along and goes, yes, Toon, we understand that angle measuring device measures curve. It doesn't matter if 1 million people told him that. It wouldn't change how his cognition works. His understanding and recognition of how flat earth must be measured with that tool will not change. Likewise, when he was talking to UVAX, when he's saying this distance on a flat earth, it's like you're having to pepper this disclaimer with how it's only associated to a flat earth, because it is associated to a flat earth, number one, but more importantly, he's needing to refer to it. Therefore, there's a lack of cognitive break between those two things. They're directly connected and required by him for his belief. Now, we've started to wake people up to that fact, and it is a step too far to expect them to go, I can come up with a coping mechanism for my requirement of a flat earth measurement. You're like, well, how are you going to make a coping mechanism for it? You've only got two choices. Understand and appreciate that you require it to be measured flat for this process to function, or deny the measurement itself. There's no in between. There's no coping. I mean, you can lie. You can say that the flat measurement isn't flat. That's just lying. But when people do that, people know when they are lying, when they intentionally deceive. That's part of the definition of lying, the intent. So they know that they are intentionally deceiving themselves. So when they try and install this coping mechanism to offload that self-loathing to a consensus that they're appealing to, it's not going to soothe their pain like it did with us telling them it's not a ball and them telling us it is a ball. When we say, okay, it's a ball. I listen to the worldwide debates, right? And there's one guy who's trying to put words in my mouth saying that all of the Google references are wrong. And I tell him, actually, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying they're right. I'm saying that you'll need flat earth measurements to get to their conversions to sphericity by way of Polaris measurement, latitude. So I'm saying how right they are. What he's in the past been able to cope with is by telling me that I'm simply denying the factual statements made in Google Earth. Now, in Google Earth, they're telling you how they use Haversine to convert flat Earth measurements into sphericity. And that's what it says in black and white. He read it out. And I agreed. And then pointed out how flat Earth had to be measured in the first instance. Now, there's no matter coping from his side when that is me agreeing. No, you do need to measure Polaris flat to achieve the sphericity you believe in. So I'm not disagreeing with Google's rhetoric about how they achieve the curvy points on a ball they've created. They've mathematised them from flat Earth angles, and I agree. That's how you do it. Not me disagreeing. It's not me saying, no, it's not a ball. I'm saying, yeah, you can believe in the ball that's made with flat Earth measurements. They'll admit how they require these on screen now, flat Earth angle measurements to the star Polaris to create the system. That's how it's done. So I agree. You want to believe you're on a ball? You can. I mean, it requires that cognitively you, not me, square the circle of violating the base principle measurements of the surface level. Like in this, the way they've squared it in this diagram is to put it in hell. They put you and the angle measurement you've made in hell to square the circle. Like, well, you can either lie to yourself and tell you that you are really in the middle of the ball that you believed you were on a minute ago to square this circle. You can do that. You can do that. But it's a lie. You know you're not inside a ball. You know what I mean? So we're at the point where I will happily concede, like John used to say, to their points. You want to believe that you're on a ball / in a ball. You can have that cognitive dissonance. You're welcome to it. I'll just point out how flat we will measure Earth to achieve that cognitive dissonance that you want to indulge in. I don't want to indulge in it, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. Yeah, you can convert a ball into existence from flat Earth angle measurements to Polaris. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that's how it's done. In a way, I'm agreeing with you.
How are you?
Good day.
Hello.
I've had the flu for about the last... I lost track of days. I've been in bed for at least 3 days. And today I got out of bed. I'm like, I'm going to go out and get some fresh air. I took a parcel. My wife's been taking my microphones that sell to the post office or whatever, parcel shop. So I'm like, no, I'm going to go out. I'm going to get some fresh air. And I thought, oh, no, I feel all right. This feels good. I'm all right. I could do a show. Within about 5 minutes of starting, I'm like, oh, I feel terrible. I shouldn't have done this.
So even though you were sick, you managed to get some book in, right?
I did yesterday and the night before. So the night before I did do a little bit of book with my wife. And yesterday we did several hours. Now, the night before last, when we started it up again, I was still really ill. And, multiple points. Actually, I recorded that session. I sent it to you, Neil.
Yeah, you look horrible in it. I even sent you a message. Why don't you just go to bed?
I did.
But I'm glad you got some work done in the book, man. It's getting exciting again.
I've got a deadline, right? I want to keep that deadline of Easter. So from that perspective, I got out of bed and did it and just like looked rough and just got on with it, paced around, feeling ill and back and forth to the loo. Not that you need to know that. But you know what I mean? I just got it done and we will continue to do so. So, yeah, the book's coming along swimmingly. It's really good. I read the first 3 chapters. So what I've been asking my wife to do is instead of having it in separate chapters in separate Word documents on separate files, each time we complete an edited chapter, we add it to a new Word document that's like continuous. So it's like one chapter after the next, like a book. So it's like looking more and more like a book. But she sent me the first 3, actually 6 chapters, because there's 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Do you know what I mean? And I just read through it today, which took about an hour to read through the first 3 chapters. So number 1, as I've said prior, it's a considerably more lengthy endeavour than I first thought. Like, I don't know why, but 2 or 3 years ago when I first started writing this book, I was like, I don't want it to be small, right? I want it to be substantial, which is to say, if you're going to put 10 years of knowledge and understanding into a book, number 1, you want it to be charged at a really high rate. In other words, you want it to be expensive. It's not just something that's throwaway, as far as I'm concerned. It's a book that will have longevity. That's why it's taken such a long time to produce, along with other reasons. But yeah, I want it to be expensive. Not expensive, that's the wrong word. I don't want it to be cheap. That would be a better way of phrasing it. I want it to have a higher perceived value. That is to say, if it's 10 quid rather than, let's say, 40 quid, then it seems more disposable than it actually is. Now, given how fundamental the information is with respect to the world and your reality, I feel that there is a necessity to have it, at the very least, perceived to have a higher value, because it does have a high value. The information, that is, has a high value. So it needs, as value and price aren't necessarily intertwined, but in this case they are. That is to say, I want a high ticket value to make it plain that this is a high value book. Make sense? But that also means the content's got to be good. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's true, and you're not just saying that because sometimes you can, regarding other things, say fashion items or jewellery, because it's expensive, you automatically think that's better, which in most cases it is. But I understand what you're saying. You're not doing it for that reason, putting a higher price tag on it because you want it to appear that way. like you said, the work that's gone into that book, the 10 years and the information that will be drawn out of it, it's a book that can stay on your bookshelf forever and a day. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, even on reading back today, there's still going to be things that I think I need to take out. So, for instance, I'm talking about a TikToker, and I'm like, I want to take out this terminology. I also mentioned Discord. So, talking about people coming in via my public gateway on Discord. I'm like, maybe I just need to change that to my electronic gateway to the public show, rather than via Discord, or rather than a TikToker. When talking about a video we've reacted to, like, I'll just say a videographer, because then it becomes a bit more timeless. It dates it badly. If TikTok disappears tomorrow, right, suddenly it really badly dates it, doesn't it? Yeah.
And not everybody knows what Discord is, like you say. So yeah, just getting it down to its bare bones, what it means. Yeah.
Yeah, those are minor, very minor alterations compared to the swathe of changes that I've made in my own text. So when I originally write this stuff, I'm like, this is great. And then you come back and listen to it read out by someone else, in this case my wife. I'm like, no, that isn't correct. That needs rephrasing. And then you read it through, make all the changes, and you go, right, let's read through it again. And then you read through it and go, no, it's still not correct. It's just not contextually making the point I want to make. So then you go through it again, make the change. Like I say, in this instance, I'm not going to release any of the editing process. So in the past, because I've been working with people who I didn't know whether or not I'd get fucked over by, I've released various stages of the editorial process to the public so they can see whose book it is. Now, in this instance, I'm only working with my wife. I'm pretty confident she's not going to screw me over. So I'm still recording the whole sessions, the whole process as I had been previously. But I'm just not publishing it to members. So that's because we're so close to the end. It's like, well, you know, even if you are a member, I still want you to buy my book. Whereas if I've released it all in the editorial process, there'll be no need for you to buy it. So as much as that's hopefully, fingers crossed, a much smaller section of the people who I hope this book will appeal to, I still want everyone to buy it. You know, that's kind of goes without saying. So if you're kind of like, well, can't you release the editing process? Well, no, it is available. You've opened your line in the middle of me talking, Neil. It is available on YouTube. That is to say, I've got it as unlisted videos, but I'm only sending them out where necessary. So Neil, who's a mate, was like, yeah, do the live show, moaning in one of my other shows that I released yesterday. So I just sent him a link because he said, oh, I hope you're getting the book done. So I sent him the unlisted video. It's like, here you go. This is me very ill working through chapter 3 on science and the scientific method. So, you know, that is available. It's just not going to be published to members. I'm really sorry. Maybe I'll do one. We'll see.
I think it's important you probably keep a lot of it as close to your chest. As close as your chest as you can, really. I mean, obviously, there's certain people and within this group that you can speak to and, you know, release some information, but you want to be keeping it close to your chest, and then when you're happy and release it. The less people know, the better.
Well, I agree. There's a few people in chat that are saying, oh, his book is still in the makes. I'm like, it was never not in the makes. Just because a couple of scumbags wanted to become authors, nothing's changed except the editor.
Yeah.
I've reserved my space on the bookshelf next to that other timeless, glossy classic, Planet Earth.
And the Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe.
Is there a chapter for second law of thermodynamics?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's covered throughout. So in the first 2 chapters, the second law of thermodynamics comes up initially when I'm introducing myself, and in chapter 3 when talking about science and the scientific method. I think it also comes up in chapter 2. I think it's in all of the chapters. It's mentioned, at least in a cursory manner, you know, when describing what our opponents have as their belief, this violation of the second law of thermodynamics, sky vacuum. So far, it's been mentioned at least 2 or 3 times across the 6 chapters that have been edited thus far. So yeah, to answer your question.
Thanks. And is this book online, or is this going to be a hard copy book?
I don't know the intricacies of that. I'll speak to the publisher. I don't want to concern myself with that yet. I want, obviously, there to be a physical book that you can physically hold, right? And I'm sure that is a capability. Like, I've just literally been sent several books by Level Playing Poem, one of my Patreons, and at great expense to her, she's made me aware of her books, her poetry, and indeed my entire family by sending me physical copies. So I'm sure that is something that can easily be achieved. Well, I hope so. I don't want it to just be an ebook. There's a good chance that initially, just for the sake of getting it out there, it might initially just be released as an ebook. I have no idea. I just don't want to... I vaguely remember having this conversation several years ago, but I just want to get it finished, and then I'll concern myself with those things after the fact. But I appreciate that's a question I will have to ask him at some stage, and what the logistics of that are. And there'll be people who say, I want you to sign a copy of it. You're like, fine. I know, again, thanks to Level Playing Poem, that is something easily achievable. Well, not easily, it's been achieved at great expense, right? She's had to pay a lot of money to get me her books. But the point is, I've got books with her signatures on them, yeah? With personalised notes on them. Well, that means that I've got something special, which I'm very proud of, I might add. Started reading a second of 4 just literally a couple of nights ago. And by reading it, my wife, when I was all ill, was like, I know you're not up to doing the book. We had just done a bit of the book. She's like, but would you like me to read you a bit of this other book that was sent to Eleanor, the second in 4 that she sent, along with a calendar? She sent me 5 items. I was like, yeah. So she read me 2 or 3 pages of that, and I'm like, my head hurts. But I have started to read the second book. Once I've got to the end of it, I will talk about Level Playing Poems book. Yeah? So, like the second of 4. Once I've got to the end of it, I said this on the first one, the one that Clover got. I read it and then was like, okay, I'm confident I can now talk about this. I folded over a couple of pages on poems that I wanted to talk about on a show, flicked straight to them, talked about it in an efficient way that obviously demonstrated I actually read the thing. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, I really like this book. On page 16, there's this. Yeah. So, yeah, that will be something that I'm sure is capable. But I haven't discussed it with my publicist. I will.
Is there any significance to the release date with like rebirth or whatnot, with it being Easter, or is that just a deadline to work towards?
It's just a deadline to work towards. It wasn't really even a deadline. It was just a prediction of how long we thought, my wife and I, that is to say, thought it would take to work through it. So that was put on arbitrarily based on, I think it'll take X amount. X will bring us to Easter. So it has become like a deadline because I've told people I think it'll be done by Easter. But I don't care. It will be done when it's done. If it happened to take till August, so be it. If it happened to take till this Christmas, so be it. If there's delays, so be it. Right? I'm less money orientated since wanting to homeschool and be a YouTuber than I was when I was out in the corporate world as a rep, flying around the world, flogging electronics to studios and dealers and such like. Well, those times my concerns with how quickly things got sold and was, right up there. But I've moved on to a more simple life that's not necessarily just geared around how much money I've got. Now, it has meant that ever since I made that decision, I've been incredibly poor. And even when I'm ill, I'm still doing work, which is this. And I've said this before, this work, this YouTubing, is a delight. So I can do it, even though I do genuinely feel like death currently, right? What are we? We're 20 minutes into the show. I'm already feeling pain and going, oh, this is awful. I feel like crap. But I will battle through, because what are we doing? We're having a chit-chat about my book currently, which is lovely, right? It's about me, not to be too self-absorbed, but you know what I'm getting at, right? This is good fun for me, specifically in this scenario. We're talking about me. It's like that Johnny Bravo cartoon. I'm sure I've detailed this many times previous, but a cartoon of Johnny Bravo sat across the table outside a cafe with a cute blonde. They're obviously on a date. And as it zooms in, you can see that they're talking to each other. And as you get a bit closer, Johnny Bravo's the one doing most of the talking, right? And then as it gets closer, he says, anyway, that's enough about me. Let's stop talking about me. Let's talk about me. What do you think about me? You broke up. Was that one deck?
Yeah, I was just laughing along with you, mate. That was all. Yeah,
Oh,
good,
jolly
funny.
good.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm running the show today. Hopefully we'll get some super chats in because I'm poor. That's the main reason why I do it. keep the bills paid. As much as I can go on about how fun and wonderful it is to be around you gentlemen and ladies of the audience.
Well, somebody in chat says, yeah, I wish the ghostwriter/editor would get the book finished already. Hopefully there will be a physical version.
Is he talking about my wife? Yeah, she makes that joke too. It's got a bit old now, but yeah. Yeah, we're working together. It's getting there much, much faster than it did with my prior editors, I might say.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You see, I mean, as much as the whole thing's been a long, drawn-out process with the difficulties in unseen
betrayals,
accounts happening. Yeah, you've sort of cracked on with this, haven't you? And it's you know, not as much time has been wasted.
Yeah, well, while it was being reattained, let's just say, in a format that could be worked on, I was writing extra sections for it with a newfound enthusiasm. So the anecdotes were written. For the most part, I don't know how Neil's ended up in this privileged position, but I've been sharing the anecdotal sections with him as I've been writing them, you know, just to get him nodding along and saying if I'm going in the right direction, and he's giving me high praise. Occasionally I've read out little snippets of them on the live shows, the bits that are new to the book. So it needed more anecdotal information, and now it's become about a third of the book. So it's a third anti-globe rhetoric, old school flat earth debate, a third new school flat earth debate, earth's measured flat, and a third anecdotes about the characters and individuals and events that have taken place to come to those conclusions and move away from the anti-globe rhetoric. So it's kind of, I would say, a reasonably equal third split in terms of those three things. So I obviously like the third that's all about me. The anecdotal stuff, rather than the stuff that's specifically about boring characters like Copernicus or Kepler or Huygens. Who cares? Let's read the bits about me. What do you think about me?
I think like you were saying in the pre-show, where we are now, I'm noticing more and more, like you said, probably the last 6 months. It's so easy now listening to a globe believer when they're talking to you about whatever. They're going to have to mention some terminology of how Earth is measured flat and utilized that way. That's not trickery. That's just the way it is. They've got no choice, and it's been pointed out every time they do it now, where it wasn't previously. We'd miss things. I'm finding I'm doing it more and more, even in everyday scenarios. You know, just in general conversation. Earth is flat and level. Sea level is level. You know, and we're really zoning in on that fact more and more, and it's very telling.
It's going to cause people distress, and if you in any way are affected by the fact that your globe faith is based on flat earth measurements, then you can seek help at 1-800 Flat Earth Debate.
Yeah, once you see it, you can't not see it. Right, one deck. Every time you turn around, it's like, but we used to miss it. Back in the day, we would skip right past the flat earth that they were using, but now we don't, and now we can't because it's immediate and constant. It's like you're seeing it everywhere.
Well, they're definitely going to be mentioning distance, which is a linear measurement. Whatever they're going to be talking about in measurement will have a distance or a height above sea level. Sorry, I mean mean sea level. So just from that beginning point of the conversation, there's going to be a reference to a flat horizontal level measurement. There's no way around it. But like you say, then they go into without going word for word, I was talking to a Globe a keyboard little chat the other day, and I was talking about the measurements being horizontal, a little bit of celestial navigation, and basically he was telling me, well, yeah, we can do that. All we need is an imaginary horizontal. So in his mind, he just needs a horizontal, imaginary horizontal to measure Earth curve. That's where we are with this now.
Yeah, so in other words, when we're measuring Earth with a horizontal, that horizontal is imaginary. It's only real when we've taken that imaginary flat plane that we've measured, and then we calculate sphericity, which is real. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to get back into the globe world with him, but my point is now, why would you use an imaginary horizontal if you do live on a curved Earth with a circumference and a radius of 3959? Why wouldn't you just use the curve and measure the curve? Why would you say to yourself, I'm not going to measure actually what it is, I'm just going to use an imaginary horizontal to measure this globe? I mean, it's absolutely, this is the point we're at, guys.
Because you have to measure it flat first. So in essence, he's not lying. He's telling you the truth, right?
Yeah. Well, they have to. The truth is now, you can't get away from the truth, can you, Neil? You know, that's a fact.
No, he's trying to just say imaginary, but he has to measure it flat first to do anything moving forward.
Exactly.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
the other thing I put on thingy, just to, sorry, Nathan, it was just Bev's been using it and McToon, they're going on about this Theodolite app. They think they've got some sort of magic trick with this Theodolite app. So I did a little bit of research on that, and it's programmed. It's on your phone. They're using this app to take measurements and on the phone with the Theodolite app, and then say that, well, it fits in with the globe. But when you look into the make and who's produced it, it is based on the WGS 84 mathematical model of a globe. So they're not actually taking a raw measurement of Earth with this phone. It's already been programmed to give you globe information calculation there after the flat Earth elevation angle measurement, just to let you know.
Oh, I see. So the Theodolite app. Oh, I was wrong. So where I said that they can't cope when they require a measurement, they'll substitute in a calculated value from an application that's derivative of a model that's been created using the flat Earth angle measurements taken with real theodolites, and say that this Theodolite app is a measurement. No, it's taken it from a WGS 84 model that's been calculated into existence based on systems that are measured off a flat plane like latitude. So that's how they will cope. Oh, well, that's sweet. Oh, so the Theodolite app lets them detach the actual measurement that theodolites can achieve with respect to a plane of reference, and references the model that's already taken those measurements, so they can more easily ignore what a theodolite really does. Oh, that's really sweet. Oh, well, they get to cope for another day, don't they? Until we come along and point out, well, okay, do it with a real theodolite then.
Yeah. That was brilliant, Nathan. You broke that down so well. That's exactly what's happening. That was absolutely fantastic. Well said.
I need more caffeine. That's what I need.
Well, the Theodolite only covers short distances, though. Don't forget that. Over 5,000 feet is, that's too short to measure Earth flat. Don't you know that?
Stop caring, Neil, like I said earlier on the pre-show. If you need these coping mechanisms to justify your belief in a world that's created using actual flat Earth measurements, so be it. Right? Let's have a laugh about these things moving forward. The guy, no offence to him, right? There's a guy in the Discord server called Zark in the pre-show, and he's like, well, we must do something about this. There's a standard that we must uphold. Nah, let's just have a laugh at them. Who cares? Like, seriously, who cares? Will it make any difference to what a theodolite actually does?
No, it measures Earth flat.
Right, so who cares?
It's
what
one of
their
the
app
30
does?
words, yeah.
Like, us pointing out, what the app's actually doing is not taking an angle measurement. It's like, what, you're telling me that you don't appreciate that a phone's not a tool for measuring angles? That's a phone, it's for making phone calls. Just laugh at him. Right, you think your phone's a theodolite?
Yeah.
And they're fundamentally different things, though, aren't they?
In the future, you're going to be seeing the surveyors with some sort of tripod with an iPhone 14 just clipped to the top of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like pretending that
Hey,
they need it
speaking
on a
of phone
tripod.
calls,
Say again.
speaking of phone calls, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Did McTune call you from Antarctica?
I don't know if he was actually in Antarctica, but he called me when he was alleged to be there, yeah.
Okay, because he had a show and they were claiming he called Nathan Thompson, not you. But I was like, I'm pretty sure he called Nathan Oakley, but
I don't care. I mean, Nathan Thompson's a good guy. He can share this credit. But no, he called me.
So what did he say to you when he called you?
Wait, who was saying that?
Him and his friends.
What he said to me was, I've seen the sun for 24 hours. What you going to do about it? And I said, you're measuring Earth flat, Toon. And he said, where are the guns, Nathan? That was pretty much a good summary of the conversation. I was literally only writing about
the
this.
guns, and he deflected with measurements.
Yeah, I was only writing about this yesterday. Literally. Like all ill. Talking about how producers recognise the irony in him saying, he tried to deflect to measurements. Oh, where's the guns, Nathan? In this Antarctic abyss.
Yeah, but you see how that gets them? Once you went to the measurements, that's when he became unhinged.
Yeah.
At least you didn't deflect to a mobile theodolite app.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we were saying this in the pre-show as well. The opponents, if you want to perceive them to be so, are quite content to argue with you all day while you tell them that the Earth's not a ball, or that we see too far, or that we're not spinning. They love that. As soon as you say, no, you see this elevation angle measurement that you've derived radius from at Alexandria and Cyan. It's a flat Earth measurement right there. Then they go bonkers. Because they need it. That's their measurement. You need Earth to be flat.
Yeah,
Good.
I had one the other day. I was going about Alberuni and Eratosthenes like I usually do with these globers, pointing out that they're flat Earth measurements. And it went on for some time, and for some reason, he started asking me how to explain something about how the sun works on the spring equinox, which I'd not made a claim about or not mentioned, but I was just simply kept pointing out the fact that Eratosthenes and Alberuni was measuring elevation angles and depression angles on the surface of Earth. And then I had to suddenly try and explain something about the sun's movement during the spring, which I had no idea what the guy was talking about.
Describing the equinox is still just an elevation angle measurement of the sun description in terms of the pattern that the sun performs. That's described and logged mathematically with elevation angles. It's still just flat Earth derivations, isn't it?
Absolutely.
But yes, it is. I could have pointed that out, but I was just pointing out how they try and, for some reason, think they're going to steer you away from the fact, which you've just pointed out, that you're pointing out that Earth's measured flat, but then they go and drop themselves in it again because, again, like you've just pointed out, Nathan, that was another flat Earth elevation angle measurement proof from flat Earth.
Yeah, you can't get away from them. If Earth's actually being measured, I mean, as opposed to looking up what a model that's been derived from those flat Earth measurements says in terms of what your phone can measure as an angle, your phone isn't measuring angles. But when you actually measure Earth, you can only measure it flat.
Yeah, that they don't like that. But they'll talk about how you supposedly have these globe debunkings. They will entertain you all day long. Go to different servers, you'll hear it all day long. Trying to debunk a globe, they love that. They eat that up. They'll stay in a conversation with you all day. But the minute you bring up measurements, then you're public enemy number one, and then you got both of them attacking you. You got the globers fighting for the globe, and then the flat earthers debunking the globe, turning on you.
Yeah, everyone seems to appreciate at some subconscious level that we need to keep the measurements of Earth in the geography category so that ballers can utilise them. That's sacrosanct. You can't mess around with it. You being a flat earther, we need to keep that in a science category so we can call you a science denier. But when it comes to actually measuring Earth flat, like on screen now, with an elevation angle measurement to the sun and a flat plane beneath the angle that you're acquiring, then you need to keep that in a geography category so that we can use it as ballers. Nobody's going to like you for pointing out that you as a baller require Earth be measured flat for your belief. Then you just become public enemy number one. And if you're a flatty, well, they're not flatties. I've relabeled these people. I'm going through that and I'm amending it in the book too. These people weren't ever flat earthers. They were anti-globers. Telling you how Earth's not a sphere isn't being a flat earther. Asking whether or not you can see curve from a given altitude measured off a flat plane does not make you a flat earther. As I say, in the pre-show, I keep talking about what we had a good conversation in the pre-show, but become a member today. There's a guy who appears constantly, a flat earth proponent, alleged to be a flat earther, and his videos constantly come up on my shorts feed. Right? Why? Well, because he asks questions like, can you see the curve from this altitude? You're like, altitude's a flat earth measurement. If you're going to number the value in height, you're describing a flat earth prerequisite elevation perpendicular to a plane in feet or meters. That's what you're doing. You've got a flat earth measurement to ask whether or not you can see curve from that height. Well, people love that. The anti-flat earthers love it. The globers love it. Everyone loves it. YouTube loves it. They'll put you in my shorts feed. Now me, where am I appearing? I ain't appearing in no one's shorts feed. Why? Well, because what we're talking about is very different. We're talking about what's on screen now. Elevation angle measurements to the sun require a flat earth. End of discussion. We need a flat earth. You need a flat earth. I need a flat earth. It is measured as a flat earth. Yeah, you don't become anyone's friend with that information. But who cares? I don't care. I don't care if you become my friend because you find out that you require Earth to be measured flat. I don't care. By you, I mean the globe believers out there. But this will send them nuts. I've said this over the next couple of years. You mark my words. Somebody make a note of me saying this. That it will result in our so-called opponents, they're not, there is no debate, descending into madness. Now, initially, they'll try and cope with lies and repositionings of angle measurements and say that taking a phone reference from an app that's called the same as the tool that measures angles off a flat Earth means that they'll cope for a day. That's all that will mean. But the more we reiterate how Earth is required by them to be measured flat to achieve their bull faith, over the course of the next couple of years, we will watch those people descend into madness. I absolutely assure you.
No, that's a fact, because what we did was we simplified it. And that's driving them insane. They want it to be complicated, because it was kind of complicated when you're debunking a globe, when you first got into this so-called debate, right? It's a lot of heliocentric stuff. Very complicated. A lot of mathematics, very complicated. Now that it's simplified to just a measurement, oh, no. We cannot have that.
Well, it will be contrasted, that descent I've just described, the descent into madness from our former perceived to be opponents on the globe believing side will be contrasted by a curve of indifference on what was previously our own side, as people actually come to the realisation that Earth is measured flat as opposed to their belief in a flat Earth based on how limited the view of curvature provides. Well, the more people that recognise, no, it's just measured flat by everybody in all circumstances. The suggestion, for example, that you've got a curve to calculate relies on you measuring a flat Earth horizontal distance, a flat Earth surface level, a flat Earth altitude, a parallel flat Earth eye level, all of these things that are actually measured with respect to Earth and its flat surface to make an inference that we should see a certain distance on a ball. When somebody who currently believes in Earth being flat recognises that it's measured flat in all circumstances, their level of indifference will rise. That'll be to say that they no longer feel compelled to try and convert next man to their belief in a flat Earth, therefore argue about it. They'll concern themselves less and be worried less about whether or not the next person they talk to understands as they understand that when Earth is measured, Earth is dealt with and measured flat because that's what Earth is. Otherwise, you wouldn't measure it that way, and we do. So the more appreciation from our side that who cares what anybody else believes in this regard, it's just measured flat, it's not that serious, the indifference level from flat earthers, legitimate ones, will increase. But the slope into madness will be what we see contrasting that. The descent into insanity from our opponents as they recognise the awful truth that their belief in a globe relies upon Earth being measured flat. So you'll see the two things contrasting each other. Peace.
I forget the guy you mentioning, Nathan, the guy you said he'll give you the flat Earth for that. They've only, I think he had a little bit of a breakdown. Did he? Was he the one who passed on his channel to Toon? It started there a little bit, didn't it? How long ago was that?
Yeah, he's the monkey that escaped the cage and bit everyone in Outbreak. Yeah, he's ground zero. Yeah? His descent into madness, that's conspiracy cats, was recognising that to make an argument for a ball, he had to, and I quote, give you a flat Earth for that perspective that he was calculating. Well, why would you give me anything? If it's measured ball-shaped, you just measure it ball-shaped. But you don't. Earth's measured flat. And to make an example that's utilising any form of Earth measurement, in this case perspective, you being the ball believers, will need to give me a flat Earth. I don't care. Don't need to give me anything. You mean you need to measure Earth flat? Yeah, you do. What did he do after that? Gave up his tune to the next man. Gave up his channel to the Toon, I should say. I'm ill. But he gave his channel to McToon and buggered off. Started talking about ghosts and stuff, went a bit... Yeah, that's what he did. Seeing ghosts and ghoulies, talking to people like Ranty, complete conspiratards. The descent into madness originates with conspiracy cats. He was the first to recognise the awful truth that you will require a flat Earth for that perspective that you're measuring with respect to Earth's surface. That's how Earth gets measured. It didn't matter whether or not he was having a discussion with me about it. At all. For him to make that measurement, Earth was flat. But did it matter that he was arguing with me? No. That's my indifference level. His descent into madness. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's going to be constant, too.
Constant what?
Going to be constant. Their descent is going to be constant. The more the measurements are brought up and talked about, and the less debunking of a globe there is.
Well, they're using the apps that have already been derived from flat Earth elevation angle measurements and then mathematically turned into spherical measurements. Same as spherical geometry, that's just a mathematical model as well, after measuring Earth flat with the tools that are designed to measure Earth flat, like total stations, theodolites, levels from surface level, and then it's put into a mathematical model called, spherical geometry. So they'll start throwing spherical geometry at you. Have you not read the peer reviews, Nathan, of these documents that first measured Earth flat and then calculated it into a sphere?
Spherical geometry is the study of geometric shapes like triangles and polygons on a sphere's surface. Is Earth a sphere?
Well, that's incorrect. You don't have triangles on a sphere surface.
Yeah, then they're not triangles anymore.
Right. So the definition itself is incongruent with reality, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It
Meanwhile,
goes on to say it shares concepts like points, lines, and angles with Euclidean geometry, but with some key differences. Yeah, it's not a freaking triangle. That's number one.
Yeah,
like we say, there's no such thing as spherical geometry because you don't, like you just said, Neil, you don't measure the Earth spherically. It's just measured. Yeah. That's what Brian used to say. It's just geometry. It's not such a geometry. We just measure Earth flat using angle measuring tools, and we use sea level, which is part of the Earth we live on. Sorry, I mean mean sea level for all elevation profiles on Earth. That's just how it's done. It's geometry. Yeah. That's what it is.
Credit where credit's due to Brian's logic, the flying monkey.
Oh, he used to just say there's no Euclidean, there's no spherical, it's just geometry, right?
Yeah. There's no such thing as spherical geometry. It's just geometry. Now, you can violate certain principles in geometry by relabeling it, and then people will accept this violation of a base principle measurement, so long as you can whistle past it. Like, I don't know, taking the concepts converted into sphericity from flat Earth measurements in a form of, I don't know, WGS84, and then take the detailed information from the model and line it up with an app that's named after a tool that measures Earth flat. I don't know, a theodolite. And then you can whistle straight past the actual measurement and go to the already acquired data that's been converted into sphericity for a bit of cope. I mean, that can work really wonderfully if you're looking for that cope. Now, I know what a theodolite is and how it measures things. I don't think I've ever seen a phone-shaped theodolite, but maybe I'm wrong.
Listen to this. It says, the question is there a difference between spherical geometry and Euclidean geometry? In plain Euclidean geometry, the basic concepts are points and straight lines. In spherical geometry, the basic concepts are points and great circles. However, two great circles on a plane intersect in two antipodal points, unlike coplanar lines in elliptic geometry. Now there's elliptic geometry?
Well, it didn't answer the question. The question was, are they the same or not? And what it's done is described the tools that are used within geometry and the descriptive words and functions of geometry. It didn't actually answer the question, did it?
No. It just described them both.
No, there isn't a both. There's only one. It's just geometry. Regardless, when it comes to Earth measurements, there's only one way of doing it. Derivative calculative models will always have the disclaimers of the processes that they use. So, for example, when we were previously in the worldwide debates server, there's some guy who's asking me if I accept what WGS84 does for Google Earth. And he reads out the definition of what it does, and within the description it's describing latitude. You're like, okay, so we need flat Earth measurements for this calculation. And it doesn't beat around the bush when it describes how it's calculating into existence the sphericity, and then taking points of data after the calculation and conversion from latitude. Well, okay, so you need latitude. So we measure Earth flat then, and then calculate your ball into existence by your own definitions. Yeah. Now, the more we highlight this, the more we recognise how the ball's created. That's to say how it does function, how you can make these conversions from flat Earth measurement systems into sphericity for the sphericity once conjured to be functional in a fashion that violates the base principle measurements that you've created it with, but ultimately you're still creating a ball to have a degree of functionality. Well, us unpacking that and explaining it to an audience is not us denying it. It's us embracing it.
Yep.
And its requirement of flat Earth measurements.
Exactly. Listen to this. This is funny because I've seen this in writing. I've always said it, but I've never seen it in writing. The sphere shape is a three-dimensional shape with curved surfaces. Unlike other 3D shapes, such as a cube, cuboid, cone, or cylinder, a sphere has no faces, no flat surfaces, no edges, and no vertex. But they measure Earth flat, though, right? So you have a contradiction here. It says there are no flat surfaces on a sphere.
But not even any local ones.
Oh, no flat surfaces. That's the unique thing about a sphere. It says it right here. I'm reading it. It's pretty interesting. No flat surfaces.
Well, this is why the theodolite, for example, was on our 30 words, because you're not going to be using the theodolite when you're trying to convince yourself that you're measuring sphere shapes. Sorry, can't pronounce it. Yeah, you won't be using that tool, so you can remove it from your vocabulary straight away. That's why it's on our 30 words. So you don't need to argue the toss about this and that. You ain't using that. Same as you're not using a sextant. It's an elevation angle measuring tool, nothing to do with measuring Earth curvature. So, that's as simple as that.
Yeah, once you measure an Earth flat, Earth is flat. It's as simple as that.
The Greeks all knew that.
This
They
is
measured
very
angles
troubling.
Yeah, it is troubling, mate. Very troubling. But this is what they're doing. They're trying to, because you can do AI doesn't help things at the moment, like we all sort of know. So you can find this. They will, AI will tell you some crap and nonsense, and it changes as things develop and move on. So sometimes it does, if you're not really into it and don't really know in the depths like we do, it will tell you about it throws the curve in and the spherical when it's talking about measuring angles. It contradicts itself. It lies. But so that doesn't help, as we've found or as we're finding. But as for these idiots, that's all they're bringing up now. Spherical geometry, which we've just gone over, imaginary horizontal lines, which is imaginary. They can't measure a curvature because there is none to measure. And it's very telling. I keep finding, when we talk about, they don't like talking about, I'm asking somebody else again to explain about the Earth curve measurements and how the Greeks measured it. They won't answer me. Just do your own Google search one day. You'll find the answers there. I said I have done my own Google searches and I've read books about it, but it's much more enjoyable when I listen to you tell me how Eratosthenes measured elevation angles using the surface of Earth. It's more enjoyable.
You'll just want to welcome me to flat Earth, I want that. You only want to welcome me to flat Earth, don't you?
Yes, Dave, I do. Come in.
I thought that was Iroquois boy. You did that pretty good, Nathan. I gotcha.
That's Groucho Marx.
You're not gonna bully me.
So yeah, mark this day when you're watching your counterparts on the globe side descend into madness. Mark these words. It was inevitable.
Nathan, it happened last Friday, well, 2 Fridays ago. Wherever we were at worldwide debates, it was happening then. They're losing their mind.
Yeah.
It's going to drive them to insanity. It will. That's why Katz got out. He's like, look, if I keep this up, I'm going to lose my mind. Here you go. Take my channel. I'm out.
It will happen, I'm telling you. We will see people descend into madness. And it'll be unfortunate. I mean, how much popcorn do we need?
I mean, we do have concern for our fellow man, do we not? I don't want to see them lose their mind.
Speaking of cats, his most interaction with me was about this or along this line, right? So he came to one of the shows and I'm saying, there's no debate anymore. It's just measured flat. And he said, are you not even going to pretend that there's a debate anymore? I'm like, no, but that's what you needed. You needed there to be the perception that there was a debate. Those times are over. Like, I'll give you a flat earth for that, Cats. Why would I need to pretend that there's a debate when my own opponent, you, are telling me how flat earth must be for you to even make the argument? Right, you'll give me a flat earth for it? Yeah, you will. That's the end of the discussion. It's not like you need to give it to me, though. That's just how earth gets measured. You know, the perception that you need to be giving it to me. I mean, I'm grateful and all, thanks.
This is funny.
That was one too many times, right? That he said that and it clicked, right? Before that, we used to just walk right past all the flat earth prerequisites. But when he said it that day, he went a step too far.
Yeah. Well, his counterpart that he gave his channel to is going through the same descent, right? We're watching it happen in real time.
Yeah, true. The other day with Vaxie, you're right, Nathan.
On a flat earth, what for the distance? There's only one type of distance. Bye-bye, madness awaits. Maybe he'll give up his channel to the next dickhead. Who knows?
Sorry, Nathan. I was just saying. I just pulled up. I was messaging some Glober. It's just a random reply. This, but you'll get the. Well, I'll just go to the paragraph where he just. Well, I'll read it you all. One deck, so we can add how to do measurements to the list of things you are clueless about. Not all measurements are direct. Actually, the vast majority of measurements are indirect. Example, measuring voltage, current, and so on. And a classic speedometer, like this bit. But you are not even right on Eratosthenes or Al-Biruni only having measured angles. They both base their calculations on both the measurements of an angle and the distance.
So they did measure angles and distances.
Wow.
I mean, so he's trying to like come up with something to say I'm wrong, and he's telling me that they both base their calculations. So there was calculations on both the measurements of the angle and the distance.
They don't just make measurements of a flat Earth. They make measurements of a flat Earth and then calculate from them. Oh, that's a wonderful rebuttal. It's almost like you're completely agreeing with one deck.
Yeah.
In fact, you are.
Thanks for agreeing.
Good stuff. Well, we're up on the hour. I'm halfway through making my thumbnail for the show.
Are they going to start with their second order measurements now?
Second order? What first orders measure Earth flat, Neil?
Yeah, remember they were on about the second order measurements, or something like that. I forgot how they termed it, but it's still a measurement.
I wonder what they're saying, though. I mean, if all these people, if they get into this point now, like Mattoon and, the crew, they're having little meetings together around the round table. And they're saying, right, what are we going to do now, lads? How are we going to tackle this? I wonder what can we start saying to get out of this paradox we're in? I mean, what can they come up with? I mean, they must be speaking to each other about it, how to tackle this, and because they all need to be singing from the same hymn sheet, I'd say, or they need to appear to be. So I don't know if they are saying we'll use apps that have already calculated. I mean, they might have spoke about that and said, let's just start throwing this app into it, which is already calculated for Sphere in the WGS 84 mathematical model. So I wonder if they are getting around a table and discussing this in depth.
Well, they gotta stay away from the measurements, even though they can't, right? But what they're doing now is they're just gonna skip right past it, totally ignore everything, and go into space. Because you got Artemis coming, you got the footage that NASA's gonna send out, showing a plane flying antipodal. You have videos coming out of TFE, the documentary. You got all types of documentaries coming out now, and how, flat Earth is dead. So everything is looking towards the future for them.
I'm going to lean into that too. Yeah, flat Earth is dead. It's just been incorrectly labelled. So anti-globism is dead. When people like Jeranism and Bob Nodell, when they were, for whatever reason, removed from this community that was called flat Earth, the anti-globe rhetoric started to die. Now, we had to cut loose a few scammers and con men recently who were also very much wrapped up into the whole anti-globe thing. But, times move on. The world, on the other hand, doesn't change. How it's measured will always remain consistent. Flat.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do if you can't show your superiority by debunking a globe when you know heliocentrism inside out better than them? If you just say it's measured flat, you're making me redundant. Why am I here?
A good question. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
Surfaces on a globe. Oh boy, what are you going to do?
Well, like you say, it's a mathematical model, and we can bring that information up. It's there, it's out there. The WGS 84, and I'll keep saying that, if you just look into it a little bit, it tells you it's a mathematical model. It's not hiding the fact. It's not. It's just a mathematical model that's been agreed upon for some strange reason. But to get their measurements, the Earth will be measured flat and then calculated into a sphere. As long as you all know that, then we all know that.
I mean, they can deny
I'm
latitude.
happy about that.
They can deny latitude if they wish.
Yeah, but it's going to annoy them how laid back and casual we all are now. That's going to really get under their skin. We're not getting uptight anymore. We're not fighting anymore. What are you doing? Are you not going to pretend that there's a debate?
Yeah, I always think of the Alan Watts video we watched. They need the argument that's keeping their insanity alive. If we're arguing back with them about their belief, then they've got something to keep themselves alive and fight for. When we're not arguing about it, we're just stating the facts of the matter now, how Earth's always been dealt with and measured flat, whether you like it or not. Yeah, which we're really chilled out about.
That's what was frustrating me with Jin. It's like, what do you mean the measurements are not enough? You got to go further explain. And then sometimes they take you to the Feast of Nonsense. How are you getting to anything in the Feast of Nonsense when you're laying down how Earth is measured? You tell me.
He just wanted to flex his intellectual globe debunking prowess, and us using flat Earth measurements cuts off the argument at the knees, and he didn't want that. It is that simple, as much as Jim might not like that. Tough luck. You want to flex your intellectual prowess. You want to destroy the globe. You want to tell globe believers they're wrong. You want to flex on them. That's it. When we say it's just measured flat, all bets are off. Everyone has to leave the bookies. You don't get to argue with anybody anymore. Wave your tickets at them. That's it. That's what it boils down to.
So no flexing. When you come with the measurements, there's no flexing involved.
There's the same amount of flexing as you can do if you're the map guy, right? He's not making any disclaimers about flat or globe. It's inconsequential to him, isn't it? Now, occasionally people will bring that shit to his doorstep and he has to cope with it and deal with it. But when he's just doing the do about the maps and how they work, no explanations are required, no apologies are needed. He just describes how flat Earth gets measured, doesn't he?
Yep.
He's doing his job, and that's all he's interested in, and he's explaining how it's done, in real time.
Yeah, but he's not telling him Earth
hassle.
is flat. Yes, he is. That's another thing that drives me crazy. Well, he's not actually telling him that Earth is flat. Yes, he is. You're not listening.
Yep. Earth is flat.
Today's show is going to be called Apps versus Flat Earth Measurements.
I read that somewhere. Where's it?
It's okay to use the phone for a compass, but not a theodolite, Nathan.
I didn't say it wasn't okay to do anything. Do what you like.
So the Theodolite app by Hunter Research and Technology uses the WGS84 geodetic datum as its default for GPS mapping and position data. So it tells you.
I thought theodolites measured angles. Am I missing something? That's a very complicated explanation for a measurement of an angle. So when a theodolite, a tool for measuring angles, is on a phone app, it has absolutely nothing to do with measuring angles then. How interesting.
Yeah, it's not raw data, Nathan.
Maybe there is a component in it that has to acquire an angle. If I cared, I'd look into it.
So what do you guys got going this weekend in the UK? In America, it's a big weekend in America. Very big weekend. Culminating in Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Why is it a big weekend?
Go on, then.
Super Bowl Sunday. It's going to be a national holiday soon.
Super Bowl Sunday?
Yeah.
Biggest circus in the world.
Exactly. That's when everybody that don't give a crap about football watches the game. Yeah, it's a big event. I think that guy Bad Bunny is going to do the halftime show. And now they're worried because of certain remarks he made during the Grammys. You know?
Just going back to I think just going back a little bit, the 24-hour sun nonsense, that was that was pretty recent start of the measurements were coming out, talking about measurements. Let's put this to bed, and just show the light in the sky above the horizontal plane while they measure angles to it, to then suggest that we live on a sphere and everything will be okay. But it wasn't, was it?
No, which makes no sense to me because I was thinking about that the other day. Why would they even attempt something like that when they know we're going to go right to the measurements? We're going to tell them how they measured Earth flat during their flight, during their observations of the sun. Everything's going to come back to a flat Earth measurement. Like, I don't know why they even, what they thought was going to happen.
Well, Jaren's seen the light, so obviously it is a globe.
So they thought once Jaren folded, everybody would fold.
Yeah, you make it about people, and then the leader of the people can be the thing that you attack, or convert in this instance, and then the followers follow. I mean, that's fairly standard practice. If it's about measurements of Earth's surface, make it about one dude. Then you can make it about that one dude. And that's exactly what they did do. It's quite clever. You could also make it about religion.
Don't forget.
You could also make it about religion. You could make it about science. You could make it about groups, individuals. Make it about everything other than Earth measurements. Because you need that to stay constant in the geography class. Because the ball's going to be needing those flat Earth measurements, like on screen now, right? This angle measurement through the ball that you're supposed to be standing on, but are actually standing in if you're referencing it to any Earth measurement. Well, you need the geographical and geography references to remain true. I mean, you can't have them violated, otherwise people start crashing into the ground.
It wasn't just Jaren either. Was it Gary also who left the flat Earth cult?
Yeah,
Was it
Gary.
Peter?
It was that guy, right? Nick.
Nick.
Oh, Nick was it? Yeah, Nick and Jaren. There was two of them. Sorry.
Who's Nick?
Remember that they was Duffy was saying there's a mass exodus. I had a guy, Nick, contact me and said he used to be a flat earther. Now he's going back to the globe with this observation.
Interesting. So when they qualify how successful they've been, they use a couple of individuals, Jaren being one of them. But yet when they gather up the statistics for who believes, admittedly, in a flat Earth, they give it in percentages of the entire population. There's a big difference there, really, isn't there? But, I mean, Jaren went back, though, so, I mean, that's something.
No, you had the Nick guy. Nick is big. Don't you understand? Once you got a regular guy named Nick, that means everybody else is going to follow. So you got Nick, you got Jaren, you got, what do you call that guy's name? Robbie Davidson, Patricia Sphere. All right, there's a whole list of them that have gone back, Nathan. We're inevitable.
It's not about conformity or consensus, though, as we went through the pre-show. It wouldn't matter if every single flat earther currently who believes in a flat Earth defected back to the globe. If every single one of them renounced their flat Earth faith, would that change how an elevation angle is measured? Would that change what latitude is? Would that change how you form circles of equal elevation for navigation? Would it change any of the processes that are used to level the terrain, to build on the terrain? Would it change how straight and level flight is acquired and demanded of from ground control? Would any Earth measurement change if every single person who currently, quote, believes in Earth being flat went back to their old belief in a globe? Would it make any difference?
No, because Earth is still measured flat.
No.
But you need
Just
that to be the
shows you, though,
case, but
like you
only in the
said-
geography class, so the mapping guy can talk about it and it remain flat and constant and actually applicable to Earth measurements, so that the globe can then use them without anyone noticing. Now we're connecting those two things and going, it's not a science category. Flat Earth's a geography category. And what do you know? When we look at people who are covering geography, they're talking about it being measured flat too, but with impunity, like complete immunity from any ridicule. Well, what gives? Why do we make that bridge the worse it becomes for the descent into madness we described on the live show?
The thing is, as well, Nathan, well said, is the 24-hour so-called sun probably did a favour for everybody because I think it got rid of the anti-globers rather than the people who know the Earth's measured flat, didn't it? The names you've just mentioned, they were just anti-globers, trying to debunk globes with talking about what the sun does in the sky and the stars. And now they've seen a 24-hour light being measured from a horizontal plane. Then I must live on a globe because I never spoke about measurements. I never realized sea level was the 0 degree baseline for all elevation profiles on Earth. So it did us a good favor, really. Got rid of some of the dead wood.
Yeah, I suppose so. I actually don't think so. I think it was inevitable that we'd come across these measurements eventually. What we've had for 10 years is people trying to distract us away from them when we actually assess what's happened. Like, orchestrated in a way that we're all talking about things that aren't the measurements. Christianity, 9/11, you name it. Whatever's not related to the geography of the world, that's what we've been conditioned to talk about because the people in the arena have come from those other subjects.
That's correct.
It's funny though. I was thinking about the debate show discussion with Nathan and Sogbuster, whatever he's called. And Nathan's done it a few times, and it makes me laugh because Nathan's bringing to the maps and Google Maps and the scale on maps and linear distances on maps and heights above sea level, horizontal distances on maps. But I was chuckling to myself because I'm sure that was on a list that we couldn't use maps, Nathan. So, I mean, I don't know, you're playing at me.
I mean, if it's on a list, heaven forbid.
Yeah, they were
seriously, it was on the list. Don't use flat maps as not an argument, as a fact of that the terrain that's displayed and the scale on that flat map is horizontal and linear. Don't use that if you're trying to convince somebody how Earth is actually measured and navigated.
I see.
It's not a good argument.
You go back 5 years and we were asked, where's your map? And then we go, all of them. Don't use maps! Priceless.
I think they were shocked that it lasted 10 years before we caught on. Right? Because it really ended at sea level. You can go back to 2015 and you hear people talking about sea level. It should have been over and caught on right from there.
Yeah. Started with sea level, ended with sea level. Sea levels, I love sea level. I mean sea level. It's brilliant. Just there, isn't it? It's just there being used for all measurements across this place we live called Earth. The 0 degree baseline right across all the oceans for all elevation profiles. And we're just utilizing the Earth as a level plane for everything we do. Mapping, navigation, everything we do is determined from sea level.
Yeah, it's a necessity.
I mean sea level.
Check. Does this thing work?
Works great. Sell it. Definitely a necessity.
Was that a yes?
Yes, it sounds fine.
It works. Might be speak a bit more on it, and then
Yeah, give us a few bars, not just does this work.
Spit some
I'm happy,
facts
as long
out,
as I know
bro.
it works. That's good enough. It's just if there's a silence, I need to be able to talk to you while I'm walking around. Like now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've said. I mean, what more can you say about sea level than it's level and it's it's used for all mapping and heights above it and depths below it. Could post a little. You might have got it on yours. Maybe do it tomorrow if you want that. It was just a little short one on little bit of history involved and a port where they've got an old device that measures mean sea level, and they talk about that and how it was done and how and what mean sea level is for measuring all heights above. For example, mountains and other things. It's a level base for all measurements. 3 minutes long, but might be worth doing it on a show. I posted it to you, Nathan. I think I can do it tomorrow. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I'm up for that. Hopefully, I'm feeling a bit better tomorrow.
Well, I just stumbled across something the other day when we were at what is it? Worldwide debates. You had a lengthy conversation with Buck, did you not?
You what?
He did.
You had a lengthy conversation with Buck Sodbuster, correct?
If you can call it that. Yeah.
Right. So he says 12 people muted on Discord, including McToon, all prevented from speaking because every one of them, even Bev, would humiliate Nathan if given any chance to speak freely. You guys are all cowards. 98th day straight where none of you have accepted a 1-versus-1 debate. Is he insane? What happened last week? It was just you and him.
Just agree. Lean into this. Yeah, you're right.
Holy shoot.
Look, there's nothing to debate about what Theodolite is designed to measure. It's designed to measure angles, Sogbuster. You won't be
That's
measuring
what I'm
Earth
saying.
with
What are we going to debate about? Are we going to debate about colors, about bread? What are we going to debate about? Because it's nothing to debate here. You measure Earth flat. We measure Earth flat. Everybody measures Earth flat. So where's the debate?
And I'm not being funny. I mean, there was a long, prolonged silence when you can't do F4 with an angle Bev was talking to Nathan about, getting everyone together to go and measure some angles across Earth, even though he can't do anything with the angle that he's going to measure. He just wanted to do it. And Nathan let him speak for a long time, I'm sure.
Neil, just tell him you wouldn't want to debate with a master debater. I had to say that right.
A masturbator. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to start leaning into their belief. They need flat Earth measurements to believe in a ball. And I'm going to stop disagreeing with the world being a ball and say, yeah, you can believe in a ball that's based on flat Earth measurements. Then it's up to them to either deny the measurements that their belief is dependent on or not. But as for there being a debate, no, there's no need to debate. I mean, their whole raison d'etre moving forward will be to try and entice us back into the debate. It's like you giving the Alan Watts example earlier. Well, if we don't have any discussion with them, then they've lost all control over this being a debate, and they need it to be a debate. It isn't. There wasn't ever a debate. But what, we're cowards because we won't debate. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that's going to drive them crazy, Nathan, if you do that. Yeah, if you do that, that's going to drive them totally insane. That may be the tipping point right there. Just agree. Yeah. All right. If you want to believe your ionosphere, that's fine. As far as the debate, what's there to debate about? Oh, boy, they'll lose their mind.
It's not that, and and I've done it a couple of times, but the more I think about it, is correct, is when they start talking about their so-called globe, that you're no longer talking about measurements. Then you're talking about
Belief.
calculation, mathematical calculations. So ask them. We're going out of the measurement conversation now. We're no longer talking about measurements. We're talking about mathematical calculations after the measurement. Do we want to? Where we're talking about the measurements? You understand? There's a divide. There's two different topics going on there. They're in the calculation mathematical conversation. We're in the actual physical measurement conversation. And that includes like have you not read your peer review papers, Nathan, on the spherical geometry? Have you not used this app which uses mathematical calculations? So that they are in a calculated mathematical discussion.
Listen, one deck, you can go to these surveyors, you can ask them questions. They're all peer reviewed. The papers are right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and the peer-reviewed spherical geometry papers were all mathematical calculations after the physical flat Earth measurement.
If that's true, you could ask them those questions. One deck, they're right there. The papers are there. You can contact the people, and you can ask questions on what tools they used, how they measured it. They're all right there. And because we're not doing that, Earth to globe.
Yeah, but John did ask Sogbuster after he, was asking Nathan, did he not read the peer-reviewed spherical geometry papers? What tools was used? And Sog said a theodolite. Now, theodolite is designed to measure angles. It's nothing to do with measuring Earth curve. It measures angles, two straight lines. Vertical, horizontal.
And if you're using
curve
an angle
over distance in degrees.
If you're using an angle in reference to Earth's surface, then part of the angle is Earth's surface. If it's going to be an Earth measurement. What's that imaginary angle measurement of an imaginary horizontal? Oh, it's only the real Earth after we take the imaginary measurement and calculate it into simplicity. Then it's the surface. It's like you guys need coping mechanisms when it comes to the flat Earth measurements that we take with angle measuring tools that you say measure curves. It's like you guys are delusional. Like I say, this will be a descent into madness. I think it'll take a couple of years. Realistically. Like, we'll see early... Obviously, we've already had cats. He's like the poisoned monkey in that regard, ground zero. But moving forward, it'll get exponential. The increase in the amount of madness that we see from our opponents, the more that we become more chill about it and go, yeah. What's that? We won't debate you because we're cowards. Okay. Okay. Believe that if you want. I don't care. Because they need us debating with them. The ambiguity is what they thrive on. They've got a doubt in their mind, and if we're arguing about it, then there's a potential that they're right. As soon as we stop arguing, that disappears. Just vanishes. We're like, we're not interested in arguing anymore. We've figured it out now. What we were really seeking was your confirmation of our belief in a flat Earth, but now we know it's flat. We don't really need that anymore. What's that? We're cowards because we won't debate you about your belief in a globe. No, you're right, we won't. You can call me whatever you like. Don't care.
You need to trim that out, just the way you said that, and play it as a short.
Yeah, it's right. Like you say, that when we're arguing and so-called debating, we're feeding their ego. We're giving them the energy they need to keep it's to survive. Sorry, but that's the only way they can survive. That's what they're feeding off.
Exactly, because if we keep debating, it's still a possibility to them, because they know it's measured flat. But as long as we keep debating, like Nathan says, then there's a possibility that it could be a globe.
Yep. Well, there's no possibility whatsoever because even their globe proof details that Earth is measured flat.
Yeah,
And
we know that.
apparently,
Listen, I've said this for the longest time in chat when Nathan's running the show and people are coming in and arguing. I used to say, listen, these are the same people coming in. Just ignore them, starve them. Don't pay them any attention. You starve a troll and they go away. As long as you keep feeding them by debating, you're going to keep them alive. There's no debate here.
There's a lot to consume for the anti-flurf troll. I've got a lot of ideas coming up.
I love it. Yeah, is this your revenge, is it?
Yeah.
Fair enough. It does demonstrate a little bit of an aspect of bitterness on your part, but that's fine.
It's not bitterness. Well, am I fighting someone else's battle? Am I evangelizing the way other people have treated you? Yes, I guess so. But I'm getting a bit of sadistic pleasure from it, and I would love to see his face when he saw it, like, if he ever sees it.
I know what Len's talking about. I got you, Len. That part, I agree with you 100%. But as far as the whole topic, there is no debate. But the people, yeah, there's a few I'd like to skin.
It's just bringing families and all that kind of shit in, all that ad homs, just not dealing with the matter at hand.
Yeah, but that's telling, isn't it?
that's part of what Nathan's saying. It's the descent. This is maybe the start of the descent into madness. You have to go through certain, levels of whatever, and one of them, ad homins, attack, evilness, anything you can do before you get to the totally insane madness. Like you've gone, your head's gone totally. This is the road in to it, part of it. I'll have to watch that, Len. I don't know. Has it been? Have you released it yet, or is it just being worked on? Or is it something we can watch now, or is it just in Master B for private use?
I have spaffed my load and put it out. I haven't created a lot of stuff recently. I've always been very creative making things, but because I haven't done it for so long, I've just kind of spaffed it up there. Then as soon as I've put it up, I'm thinking, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. So I think the main brunt of what's up there will be added to, and I'm probably going to make it into a series and a little journey of getting with all these other anti-fluff chums and just torturing them.
So, Nathan, you're saying they're on the verge of losing their mind. Basically, like when Jack Nicholson was on the stand and he was right on the verge, and then he finally got him to say it. You're goddamn right, I did. They're right there.
Nathan, are you familiar with that Simpsons scene between the rock and the hard place?
No.
There was one where Homer Simpson's in between a rock and a hard place. I could do something with that.
I didn't know that. Cool. That's what we say. What I say. It's a fairly common term, but yeah. The Simpsons used that terminology for what? What was their? How were they talking about it?
I can't remember what context. I'm just trying to find it at the moment, Nathan.
Yeah, it's a common saying in America too. It's a common saying everywhere. Caught between a rock and a hard place.
We sometimes say rock in the flat place, don't we? Because that's basically where they are.
Do you want to share the McToon Nightmare short?
I've already played it, but if someone wants to stick it in Discord.
I think I stuck it in Discord the other day. It should be reasonably fresh in the text chat.
I liked it because I seen the video that he did about you. No, the same thing that Jaron did that time with the scammer. But he made this freaking video that really irked me. So I was glad when Len made that response video of him and his nightmare.
The Brave Flat Earther one?
This is all he does, Nathan. You're so in his head that this is all he does. Makes videos about you, uses your sound bites when he's got people on his show. It's like you are so far in his head that he can't see straight.
Straight and level, do you mean?
Well, think about it. Hold on, think about it. Who is he going after? Who's the only one talking about measurements? Nathan. Everybody's constantly going after Nathan. There's no assault on the other people that used to be here. They're allowed to they're accepted because all they're doing is talking about a globe. How Earth is not a globe. So nobody's going after them. They're feeding them. Go ahead, do what you got to do. You're talking about the globe, you're keeping it alive. But Nathan is talking about measurements. He must be attacked.
Did you see that little Simpson shot there, Nathan?
I didn't. I will look.
Oh,
I'm playing Fortnite. To be honest.
Yeah, play it again, Len. I did see a little bit of it. I guess.
That a pendulum?
It's just stuck a little bit.
Where is it? In Master B?
Oh, I was just sharing the screen in Teams.
Oh, okay.
I can stick a link to it in there, though, Nathan. There, the link's in Master B.
I have seen this.
No! No!
Very good.
It'd be good if you could get like Tune on there and then just have two different. What could you have?
No, every time you get into that argument when somebody's caught in a rock and a hard place, you need to play that in the background on screen now.
Yeah, but like where Tune's like on that ball, but he's rotating around after the other light with a dagger on, for example, above sea level. And then something else, anything to do with flat Earth measurements, that's going to kill him. And it's a rock. You could have the rock. Yeah, will have a height above sea level, basically.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, all I hear Nathan on the show say on screen now is what's happening to this man. He's caught between a rock and a hard place on screen now for my audience. I can't see thinking back and forth.
I will incorporate it on the shows as well.
The Earth is measured.
That's what I'm saying.
Earth is flat, that's a statement of fact. I don't care what you think about that, cause it was measured that way. Oh, Earth is flat, that's a statement of fact. I don't care what you think about that, cause it was measured that way. Earth is flat.
that looked, I couldn't hear it very well, but it looked funny, that.
Are there any better examples or illustrations that he could be looking at the start to make that more effective?
No, don't overthink it. I think it's good.
Yeah. Maybe a Lite app or something.
But yeah, there was little bits in there. Like I got the bit where McToon's crying in the cheerleader outfit in the stadium, and then I was like, I'll try and replace all the faces with Nathan's face, all pointing and laughing at him. But it came up with loads of mad variations of Nathan. I'm quite enjoying the creativity and having something to direct it at.
I mean, that's brilliant, but I mean, just going his apparent trip wherever he went on the ice bed, he actually measured Earth flat himself for everybody in real time anyway. So he's done the video for himself to show him and himself and everybody else how Earth is measured. I'm just going to jump out for a minute.
Did I just see 10th Man join?
Nope.
The other thing is these people don't recognise that their own desire to square the circle, to alleviate their pain, to overcome their cognitive dissonance, is being marked in history. That's to say, people aren't stupid. It won't be long before people will recognise how this individual, McToon, has attempted to convolute the reality of the measurements of Earth. Because the measurements aren't going to change. So the attempts to make circle what is actually square will soon be pointed out by people as, well, look, this is a lesson that we've learned from the past with the idiocy of people like this particular gentleman. He's trying to square a circle. Even if in the short term, like with various other proponents of heliocentrism that have squared other circles over the timeline of it, it won't last forever. Heliocentrism as a paradigm, as a worldview, won't last forever. Right? The overarching reality of the measurements will be what continues forever, because that's what Earth is, and that's how it gets dealt with, and that's how it gets measured. So a belief that's superimposed on top, propped up by a web of lies, that'll eventually fall. Lies always do. That's one of the inevitabilities of lies. Eventually they get found out.
Yep. Well, it depends. Like you say, like your children are growing, so they're going to be the generation, right? Other people that are teaching their children, that's going to be the generation that, well, I don't know it. They're going to hold on as long as they can, Nathan. You know that.
And if you're happy being remembered in history as a pariah that was poisoning people's mind with incorrect information, that was incongruent with the reality of Earth measurements, and you're happy with that, then, that's your bag. That's up to you. Now, at the moment, society congratulates those people and rewards them. Well, it's like, okay, that won't last forever.
Well, it depends on how many distractions you got, right? How are they going to catch on? How is this, say 20 years from now? I agree, a lie cannot go on forever. It's going to eventually be found out. But when? I mean, we've been going at it for 10 years. Before we did, there was other people going at it in other types of, in other forums, right? We just happened to be during the age of the internet. We could communicate with people all over the world. So I think that has a big part in it too. And I think they're constant failures to produce what they say they're going to produce in this region that no one can go to. I think these are all bricks being built for that wall to eventually come crumbling down. I don't know. The big deception.
I don't know either. I just know that the inevitability of the exposure of a complete deceit that's incongruent with how Earth is dealt with is, as I say, inevitable. So if you're that person that's propped up the antithesis of reality, you're not going to get praised for it in long term. Short term, yeah, people are getting praised for it now, algorithmically. The people who want you to believe in a ball because they're keeping you under control will promote those things algorithmically. But that's manipulated to achieve those ends. But in that person who's, leaning into the algorithmic favoritism that a deceit is offering them, will only see a short-term benefit. Long term, as I say, I think this is going to cause them a lot of mental pain. And we're only going to witness it increase over time from now in our little arena. Now, again, does it affect how societally everyone perceives it to be a globe? Not really. That'll probably continue. Does it change how Earth's actually measured? No, not at all. It doesn't change it. It was always being measured while they were telling people it was a globe, though, wasn't it? So what difference does it make either way? No, it doesn't really. So then you go, okay, well, if it doesn't make any difference at a societal level, and it doesn't make any difference at a measurement level, why am I doing this? Well, for your own enlightenment, for your own inner peace. That's the only thing you can achieve. So stop desiring a worldwide conversion. The only reason you'd want that is if you didn't know for sure and without a doubt it's flat. You needed everyone to believe as you believe. Well, now that you know it's flat, you don't need everyone else to believe as you believe. It just is measured flat.
Nathan, I posted a picture in Master B, right? Let me read to you what it is. Photographed the star on the left and the supposed James Webb Space Telescope took the pic on the right. The picture on the right came out on Facebook less than a week after the picture on the left. Not the same, but strangely similar. That's what a star looks like. Now, what will cause that to happen? It's got to be other things, because and the person that sent me this said, but if the star on the left is really what stars look like, then it's over for heliocentrism.
Because they're not spheres.
So the one on the right was taken by Hubble, or whatever that is, the Webb, James Webb. But the one on the right was taken by some guy named Mikey on Facebook a week earlier. says strangely similar.
Doesn't affect heliocentrism in the slightest. What is he babbling about?
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand. How does that put an end to heliocentrism? From Canada with the pictures areas and contact and planning. They're planning expeditions to get more pictures of the stars and the planets. So I'm like, nice, as long as you know it's flat through the measurements. So the guy answered me, he said, yep, I know it's measured flat. But if the star on the left is really what stars look like, then it's over for heliocentrism. So I told him it's been over.
Yeah, heliocentrism is not dependent on what the stars look like in a telescope. It's dependent on measuring flat Earth angle measurements to Polaris and converting them into sphericity with things like Haversine.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to focus on the measurements. This is Skep 936. So he's in one of your Patreons. You shout him out every day before the show. He gets to mention.
Skeptic 936.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure he understands. He says he does. But some people like observations. They just, they can't get away from it. Like, they want to look at the stars. They want to look at, how far people are seeing. What are you going to do? As long as you understand measurement, it should put you at ease, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, what we need to start focusing on in terms of our heliocentric focus is how heliocentrism is created, not how flat earthers say it's destroyed. No offence to Skeptic 936 in this regard, right? How do we create the ball? Well, we create the ball for people to believe in using flat earth measurements. So rather than saying Earth is not a ball, we're saying almost the opposite. We're saying Earth is calculated into being a ball by way of these flat Earth measurements. You know what I mean? So it's not so subtle, but it's a very different approach to saying Earth's not sphere-shaped. You go, your belief in Earth being sphere-shaped is based on these measurements of the surface level. Therefore, we've got to measure a surface level for you to have a ball to create, for you to believe in. That's not saying the ball's wrong. That's saying you've got a belief in a ball that's created using these flat measurements here. That's it.
Exactly. And that puts you at ease once you know these things. Like, basically what I'm saying is, doesn't matter what's going on in the heavens. And if you want to look at what's going on in the heavens, yeah, use it like you did to measure. But other than that, once you know this, you're at ease. You're not looking for anything else. Why should you? Can't make it more flat. It's just flat.
Yeah, by learning how the ball does function, how it has been created, how it is conjured out of reality in measurements, the more you appreciate how it isn't actually a ball that we're standing on. By trying to say it isn't a ball, our opponents lean into that and love it. Because they can tell you how it is. And when they're telling you how it is, they can use the flat earth measurements to do so without any consequence.
Exactly. Even that thing Vaxie was getting upset about, that rocket, where they said, oh, well, you shouldn't be seeing the moon from where they launched it or from a certain time. They will have an answer for that. Trust me, they will. And that's exactly what they want. They want you to come with some proof like that, like you're debunking the globe, so they can make you look stupid, because they will have an answer for why the moon is visible, where it's visible.
Yeah, in spite of it being completely non sequitur. seeing a ball measuring Earth flat to describe the angles to the light in the sky we call the moon, creating a protractor view around our head from Polaris, and projecting the image of the surface you measured flat onto the outside edge of the protractor to then describe the movement of the angles from within the ball to the moon to explain how you can see it at a given time. You're like, it's explanations after the fact. All you've done is tracked its movements on a flat plane.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right, I'm going to round out on that note. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.
But when you measure it flat, it contradicts that. I'm spitting flat facts and that. And I know you don't like that. Google Maps is flat, it presents elevation profiles like that. I'm a spitting flat earth king. Sentence has a ring, doing my own thing. If earth was a big roast chicken, factually finger licking chicken, we just got the measurements missing. I'm spitting eggs and begs, begging the question lesson. I've said it before, time after time. I'm the spitting flat earth king of rhyme.